requires more creative thinking, and these managers know it. Bruce Bochy, 68 years old, 5-0 in winner-take-all games, including 2-0 in Game 7. Dusty Baker, 74 years old, 2-7 in winner-take-all games, and 0-3 in Game 7. The game is played differently. It is managed differently. That's because tonight, the American League pennant is on the line with every pitch, every hit, and every decision.
What's going on, everybody? Jonah here with you. It's a Monday night, October 23rd, 2023. How's everybody doing out there today? It is Game 7 of the ALCS. I'm happy to be here. I should be joined by Alec Nava, but I will be doing the play-by-play side of it because he is covering the NLCS on that end. And once that gets in, I'll probably join in here. So leading off and starting for the Texas Rangers, managed by Bruce Bochy, it's Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, Evan Carter, Adolis, Garcia, Mitch Garver, Jonah, Heim, and Nathaniel Lowe, Josh Jung, and Taveras will round out the 7, 8, and 9. So it really all comes down to this. And again, for me, it makes it a little bit easier because from the Game 3 side, you have the same Game 7 side starters in Max Scherzer and Christian Javier. So this is going to be a lot of fun. And it all comes down to whether or not, to me, Christian Javier can do the same thing he did in Game 3. We know about the discrepancies from the home and road side that we talked about between 39 and 42 in the regular season for the Houston Astros at Minute Maid. That's kind of worked its way through because in this entire series, home team has not won a game. But Christian Javier is someone who can definitely change that for all the protocols and talks about everything else and this and that between both teams. I think there is not enough narrative on this young righty that can absolutely stoke the fire and finish it out. So I'm going to go ahead and put in here as a speaker, and then we will make sure that when Alec does get in, he'll get the color side of it as I take care of everything else today. So as it stands, I'm just going to go ahead and give you an update. This one is in the bottom of the ninth in his game. It's Arizona Diamondbacks 5 and Philadelphia 1. So that means this simply. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing a Game 7 in the NLCS. I know he's got voice lessons on that side for Wednesday, so it'll probably be my carry on that, and then there'll be a couple days layoff before we head into the World Series. That's my schedule. It's been about 6 work days in a row here, so I do need a break at that point. So I'll welcome it to the Friday side, and then we'll get in the World Series and figure out what happens. So first pitch is about to be underway here, and we will see what awaits us. What's going on, my friend?
I think tonight's going to be a big night, man.
What do you think if you have to make a prediction?
I have to make a prediction. It's going to be a close game.
I think it's going to be an exceptional one here, and it all depends on the start for Marcus Semien. Last night, 2 for 3, a run scored, and 2 walks. He was able to find his way through, and the Rangers definitely need his at-bat. So this is going to be a ground ball to short pinion. We'll toss it over to Abreu, and 1 up and 1 down as we are underway in Game 7 of the ALCS. It's the Battle of the Lone Star Series. It's been great. I know I've talked with Alec a few times. It's too bad that this wasn't a World Series on the side of it, both teams on the same side of the bracket, because it's been that good. And it's amazing on the other end. I don't want to slight anything with the Arizona Diamondbacks. We covered the game when they were down 10-0 and 2-0 in the series, and then they've won 3 out of the last 4, and they're going to try to make something happen in Game 7. So Corey Seager, with 2 pitches in Javier's dead fastball, and this is up. It's ball 1. So for Corey Seager, he's the shortstop, 327, 33 bombs, and 96 RBI. Again, they talked about the 5 walk game that he's had as he blasts one. The right field line, and Texas takes the early lead. It's a second deck solo shot. Holy cow, Corey Seager flexing his muscles, and Texas off on the board running early. He got the fastball, and he did not miss it. We'll get the replay here from the Fox side in a moment. I know Maldonado probably wants the ball inside. It just hits up, and Corey Seager absolutely detonated on that pitch. He was sitting dead red. That's in the second deck in right field, and Texas takes the early lead. So Christian Javier, again, we talked about it. His numbers in the postseason as a starter, especially, but in the postseason, he's got an ERA under 2. And now he's already in a situation. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, just one out into this contest. He's got to make sure he keeps that number right where it is for a little while, because Houston's not look comfortable in their own backdrop. I know I watched some of the post-game stuff following everything else with David Ortiz and Derek Jeter, and flat out said that Texas is comfortable with this backdrop, but Houston's not. They're not getting those bats together, and whatever they got to do to wake up on this side, this is now or never, because, again, there is no tomorrow. And, again, they need to make a shirt out of that for David Ortiz as he was going ahead and speaking truth serums. 3-0, Evan Carter. Again, single postseason all-time on-base streaks at 11. That's past young Miguel Cabrera, who just retired from the Detroit Tigers. And 93 miles an hour will split the page. So Carter will take it as kind of an indifference there, as he'll try to work his way back into the count as Javier. An early 1-0 lead from a Corey Seager solo shot. And this is right on the black. That should have been a strike, but Javier does not get the call, and Carter will reach. And it's the man that struck out 4 times in ALCS in Game 6 yesterday, but he hit a grand slam that pretty much guaranteed the Texas Rangers to go to Game 7. So Adolis Garcia, he was getting the boos from Brian Abreu, even though he hit him with the pitch to Abreu, but on that side. For the updated note for those that don't know, Brian Abreu's suspension will be upheld, but it's going to be for next season. So he's going to be available to pitch in the postseason side, but he will miss a couple games to start the year next year for the Astros. In a Game 7 that we have like this, it is all hands on deck for anybody. That's what we'll see again tomorrow. I'll keep in line of the scoreline for the Diamondbacks and the Phillies and see what transpires there. But everybody's going to be used, and Bruce Bochy flat out said this. He's going to try to use Jordan Montgomery at least for 1 inning, especially if they get to the Yordan Alvarez part of it and a high leverage at bat. So expect the unexpected tonight, regardless of the scoreline. Fastball misses high, and Garcia will take it for ball 1. 261 in the postseason, 261 in the regular season, I should say, 277 in the postseason, 5 bombs and 15 RBI. That is including the 4 strikeout game, as we said. So heavy damage from Adolis Garcia. We made him a long way. Can field with the best of them. And has some of the best cleats. This is a throw. Did they get the piece of the leg for Evan Carter? No, they did not. Maldonado's throw seemed to be on time, but maybe if he could have got that pop time for another half a second there, he would have got Carter, but he steals the base, and it keeps it out of the double play situation. I'll go ahead and bring Alec in. As he just finished up with this contest, we'll go ahead and give you the final. It's a 5-1 for the Arizona Diamondbacks over the Phillies. So they've won 3 of the last 4. So that means on Tuesday, we're going to have a Game 7 in the NLCS, and we'll be right back here. Garcia will follow the fastball straight back. And now it's 1-2.
How are we doing, John? Game 6. Man, am I surprised by that result. The D-backs storm up to Philadelphia and quiet that crowd to force that Game 7 tomorrow.
I agree with you, my friend. I never would have expected when we covered Game 2 and it was 2-0 series leading, a 10-0 victory, that this would turn out this way. But I guess they wanted us to do a Game 7. I know you have the voice lessons and all that stuff on the Wednesday side, so I'll carry the brunt of the play-by-play for Tuesday. And then I'm going to take a much-needed break until we get to the World Series. It's been 6 consecutive days of work. We can't miss any of this as a fastball goes outside, and now it's 2-2.
I know these two teams have the pieces to go tit for tat with one another, and Corey Seager, boy, did he start that out with a bang with that solo shot to right field. How about this from the former World Series MVP?
Yeah, as we said for Javier on the other side, Alec, I think it's very important that he can mitigate the damage as much as possible, because it's well known at this point through the 70 games that Houston's not been comfortable in their home ballpark. I mean, there hasn't been a home win in this series yet. It's a full count now for Adolis Garcia as he's going to work his way through this. And Javier about to throw pitch number 15. Let's try to get out of this with limited damage. Garcia will launch one. They're waiting for the camera to cut. It goes off the wall. This is going to score another run, and Texas takes a 2-0 lead.
Off the United Airlines scoreboard, and Houston, I know is one of the many hubs of United Airlines, but that's beside the point. Adolis Garcia continuing to impose his will on the Astros. He thought that this was going to stay in the field of play, took that bounce, and off the bounce that got it Evan Carter right home.
Hey, I don't care if you want to pimp a long single there. That's a big run for Adolis Garcia. He's been the man recently here from Game 6 and Game 7. Now throw over. He will be back. It's a 2-0 lead for Texas, and all of a sudden, I won't pump the brakes anymore. You're going to have to see for Dusty Baker's squad. You might already need to start getting the bullpen warm here, and you're going to need an immediate answer in the bottom of the first if you're Houston.
Hey, you need it here, especially now with the second stolen base
Wow.
and many at-bats. Wow.
Texas is not messing around right now. This is big time. They already got a couple runs, 2 stolen bases. Dusty Baker's got to be beside himself. But if you're Christian Javier, I mean, they paid no attention to Adolis Garcia. He was 5 steps to second before the pitch was thrown.
I mean, he was coming out in a hurry. I mean, just like that, he just gets running.
So Mitch Garver, it's 1-1 now. Texas is in the best spot that you could have asked for to start the game. But I think the one thing that's not a surprise, especially when I heard some of the post-game comments, they interviewed Mitch Garver. He seemed very calm, cool, and collected about what his team was going to do here. And again, you make no bones about the benches clearing from a couple games ago and seeing how that would work. I think that's kind of fired up the Rangers so far.
So far, it has been with the benches clearing it, and so far the Rangers are getting much of the laughs at it, especially since Bruce Bochy has never lost a Game 7.
No, they showed his stats in elimination games, and I mean he's Mr. Freeze on that side. He'll stop any sort of momentum that you have and completely close it and win it. And I mean, if we get any situation now between the Diamondbacks and the Phillies and Texas in the World Series, we're going to get something good. Garver, he'll launch. This will be a lazy fly ball. I'm not sure if anyone's going to get there. It's going to dive in the infield, and it's going to score another run. Texas is up 3-0.
Exactly the start that Bruce Bochy has been going through. We all know about the pitching matchup and how Max Scherzer is going to be on a short leash and how this game is going to come down to offense. This is the point of emphasis for Bochy and company. And so far, 3 at-bats, 3 runs, 2 of them on doubles. How about this, or should I say, a long base hit for Adolis Garcia? But man, from second base to home, exactly what Bochy and company need.
Yes, and I know you just brought it up with Max Scherzer, and I know some people will talk about it, whether or not you should have pitched in Game 3. I actually thought it was a good decision on that side because Texas is up 2-0. You need to make sure to give him some pitches. It's been a month. Get him all riled up and set up because you're going to need him if you're Texas and you want to get to the World Series. Well, now you just spotted him at least 3 runs heading into this Game 7. So if he did have a short leash and he has something that happens that doesn't feel good, well, then there you go. You can quickly make the change. So this is the dream start for the Rangers that they wanted. And honestly, I know the narrative's been said about the Astros and the road woes here, but that's just crazy to me that in their home ballpark, Texas is just absolutely slapping them around.
All sorts of slapping left and right, no matter what you can put it, because the road team has won the first 6 games, and if Texas can keep this up, it'll be just the second time this happens, not counting the bubble between the Celtics and Raptors.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. And again, for as much as we talk about that, even mention the NLCS you just covered in Game 6, I don't think either one of us expected a 3-3 Game 7 on that. So we're going to have a lot of fun in the World Series when it starts on the Friday side. We still got a lot to do here tonight and tomorrow. But who knows? Texas scores a few more runs here. I wouldn't put it past Houston to respond a little bit, but there will come a time. Let's say it's 5 or 6 runs in this first inning. That might already be the kill shot, depending on Houston plays. You really can say it like that. So Jonah Heim, 0-2. Still only 1 out and a runner at second. Texas already has 2 stolen bases. They have 3 runs scored. And Heim, he's going to get a single, and that is going to put runners at first and third. The machine keeps rolling.
And you said it perfectly. The machine keeps rolling. The Rangers are an offensive machine. that just keeps on rolling. And throughout the season, everyone talks about their offense, and when they go to the bottom of the first, I just don't feel that because of their offense, there's not enough love to their defense because of that high-powered offense.
Now, Texas has been one of the most complete baseball teams that we've had in the postseason. Their defense was sparkling. Even in the wild card series against the Rays, again, we saw all of that. I want to make sure that I have this correct as I'm going to go ahead and pull on this box part of it. Christian Javier doesn't even make it. It's just in a third of an inning, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, a walk. It looks like his day is done.
That is as nightmarish as it can get for a starting pitcher. I mean, 4 earned runs, four hits, 3 earned runs, and you don't even make it out of the first. We talked about Clayton Kershaw not even making it out of the first inning against the Diamondbacks, but in Game 7, yikes.
Yeah, I did not expect this, only because Christian Javier, and I'll say this plain as day, we went over some of the numbers from before, that he's averaged like 40 innings in the postseason, and his numbers were already below 2 ERA on that side. So this was very unexpected. He got brutalized. And now for Max Scherzer, you're going to come out with a long layoff. You got a big lead. Texas is in the driver's seat, my friend.
They are truly, John, at the driver's seat with runners at the corners, and they're already up 3-0 with Corey Seager starting the fireworks. This is as good as it can get, no matter who you are on the Rangers. Definitely.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see when we get to the bottom of the first again. We're in the top of the first with just 1 out. I have to repeat that, but when we get to the bottom side of it with Scherzer, we'll see how he looks. We'll see how Houston responds, because either way you look at it, I'll just say it. Houston's got to scratch at least 1 run in the bottom of the first.
They have to, because this is what you can get if you want to get right back in this game. You know, 1 loss will end your season by this point. It's definitely do or die time here, because now you're in a situation where your backs are up against the wall. This was the exact same situation that the Cleveland Indians were in the World Series. And even though they lost, they forced extra innings with a 3-run homer.
Yes, they did. You're going to have any of that stuff happen. I'm looking as we're in the commercial break right now, as far as some of the numbers for the Astros in this playoff side, and it definitely needs to get better, because I see Bregman at 189. I see the bottom of the order with Jeremy Pena and Martin Maldonado at 194 and 154, respectively. Kyle Tucker at 143. Some of the big names got to perk up. They can't just be about Yordan Alvarez. But before we even get to that, we're back underneath the action now in the top of the first still. Mercifully, it's been about a 20-minute inning right now for the Rangers. It's only 1 out. Phil Maton is going to make an appearance, and I have to believe he didn't expect to come on with just 1 out at the top of the first.
I don't think the rest of the Astros expected it either with how Javier, he was just the second starting pitcher to record a combined no-hitter in the World Series.
Yes.
So this is definitely unexpected.
So Nathaniel Lowe and the Texas Rangers, as he's batting 7th, have a very good opportunity to bat around in the top of the first inning. That is no exaggeration. Runners at first and third. Maton needs a double play badly. Houston's got to get something out, even a strikeout. 0-2. Lollipop curveball will miss outside the zone, make it 1-2.
Maton nicknamed the spin rate. He can definitely throw those curveballs anywhere there to go. Even though he doesn't have the fastest fastball, the spin rate is why he has those curveballs.
You got to have something, Alec, from what you brought up. Anything to get Texas out of their rhythm right now. So velocity, or spin rate, or curveballs, or whatever else. They got to get Texas out of this rhythm if Houston's got any chance. So Nathaniel Lowe waiting on a 1-2 pitch. He's going to get the sign for Maldonado as Maton. And a curveball is a swing and a miss. And Houston needed that badly.
Boy, I know they need something here to get a sign of life from their infield, and for Maton to throw that out. Now the true question becomes, how long will he go? Because Javier fixed himself to a really horrid outing.
Yes, he did. And when we saw Ryan Stanek the other day, too, he didn't look so great. The one thing that we brought up here and I'll wait until this pitch is it's a strike call. Wow. But Brian Abreu got his suspension upheld. So it'll be 2024 by the time he serves a couple of games, so he's available. Brian Abreu might have to go multiple innings. Presley, multiple innings. The way that this is looking, we'll see how the Houston Astros bullpen fares for the rest of this game as Josh Jung waits on a 0-1. It's 1-1 now. So Alec might be a little bit ahead of me on this side, as usually the case for these casts, but we will bear with it and give you the call nonetheless, regardless of the scoreline. We've seen some laughers as Josh Jung waits on the 1-1 pitch. Jung with a golf swing, and that's now 1-2.
Boy, that looked like it had juice going to the outside.
So Maton's definitely got the yacker working right now. Is that curveball? He's got it at 74, but it's got Texas way out in front. They want to be happy and hit this fastball from what I'm seeing right now. So the towels are waving. There is still some excitement here because Astros aren't even at the bat rack yet. 1-2 pitch. Maton delivers the curveball and another steal. It's the third for the Rangers, and we're in the top of the first.
I mean, they just keep on going. Maldonado faked it, and he didn't even try to throw it. And the runner going to second.
This has got to be the most unmitigated disaster that I've seen in a Game 7 so far. And yes, I'm going there right now. Swing and a miss. Maton does the job, but the Texas Rangers score 3 times. We head to the bottom of the first. It's 3-0 Rangers.
This is unbelievable, John, because, this feels like it's going towards one side just like that, and already their Astros have to use their bullpen. This is not a recipe for success if you're Houston.
No, and I'm going to have to do some digging on the side as far as the Astros pitching and their bullpen. Hell, you might have to throw in some starters. You might even see Justin Verlander today for an inning.
That feels like a very, very off-balance plan if you're looking for someone to pitch very quality innings. And Verlander being inserted into this situation is not ideal.
No, because let's say the Astros complete the comeback, right? Let's just say it happens. You go into a Game 7 side, yes, you'd have some days off on the Friday end, but that's going to put everything in your bullpen out of whack, and it changes all of the game plans regardless of the manager on either side. I don't think it's going to happen, but if you burn everybody, there are going to be some wounded bodies going into Friday.
Yeah, there will be a lot of wounded bodies, lots of bruises and all that, and especially on those arms. And the one thing that every pitcher dreads the most, Tommy John. They don't want to get that.
No, and on the side for Aroldis Chapman, I do remember him when he won the World Series with the Cubs. I mean, they were using him for about 50 pitches at a time, trying to help the Cubs win the World Series. He does. He goes back to the Yankees, and then now the Royals, and now the Rangers, still getting it done, still throwing 101 miles an hour. I don't know. If I'm Bruce Bochy at this point, again, and I'm Max Scherzer on the mound, I'm fully expecting Alec. I'm just going to say it now. Maybe he gets rough for a couple runs, but I think he's going to be solid here in this game. He's up 3. I don't think he's going to mess around.
I don't think so either. He's coming right back from injury. Yeah, he had that outing in Game 3. Yeah, he let up several runs, but he did strike out several batters, so he was not bad in the loss with 4 strikeouts, even though he let up 5 runs. His first start since September 12th in that game. So perhaps he can do something better. The Rangers need Game 7 Scherzer as much as they can.
Yeah, they do. And as I said, they need him in the World Series on that side of it. They want to get there. We know about Jacob deGrom. They expected to have them there. But look at it. Even for next year, you got Scherzer and deGrom as far as the pitching rotation whenever Jacob does come back. But Max, he's a big game pitcher. It's been about a little over a month since the last time. Again, he got roughed up a little bit, like you said. But I'm expecting some big things here for Max. I would say at least go 5. Maybe give up 3 or less. At least give yourself a chance. But Altuve gets on the first pitch. This goes off the wall. It's badly played by Carter. It's going to be an automatic double. Boy, they can't get this guy out.
Altuve is known for big took the scoreboard. Man, that really struck hard. And that's a first pitch double. Wow.
I'm going to say this right now. Again, I don't talk about all the other intricacies because we know what's happened with the Astros is the panel got blasted, as Alex said. It knocked a pane of glass. He hit it so hard. But Altuve is going to put himself in an automatic Hall of Fame side and someone that has been one of the best postseason hitters I've ever seen.
As clutch as he can get, he's really up there with Manny Ramirez and all that in company for most home runs ever batted. Ooh, he's that good.
Yeah, it's amazing how much power he generates regardless. And again, if you miss up like Scherzer did, that's where Altuve likes the ball to be.
Yes, yeah, especially in such clutch situations in a Game 7. He's been here before against the Dodgers, against the Nationals. He's 1-1 in those games, but along with the rest of the team that time, but he's been in stride.
So 2-1, Bregman, again, there is some talks about whether he's going to be on the team in the offseason. He's been struggling a little bit in this ALCS at 182, but there's been a lot of Astros that have done the same. 2-1 as the cutters fall back. Again, they featured Scherzer. He'll throw 5 different pitches. He'll mix in the fastball, cutter, change-up, curveball, slider combination. He throws all 5 of them for strikes when he is on.
So Bregman, he's been struggling against Scherzer to count. He's 1 for 12 against him in his career, including postseason.
So Scherzer will get the sign from Heim. He'll deliver, and this will be rocketed to second base side, but no problem for Seager as he throws over to Lowe, and Altuve is going to be tethered at second.
So here comes Baby Papi, as David Ortiz coined Jordan Alvarez. I like those nicknames that Ortiz gave Alvarez. It's fitting.
That's fitting, and that is supreme company for Harry Jordan on that side, because I simply will tell you this. I don't care what anybody says. I think he's the best hitter in baseball. I don't think it's close as far as that. He just knows what to do. He knows where his pitches are. He knows the zone. He knows where he wants to hit it, and he's just comfortable. And when you're that good and you're that comfortable in your methods and your routine, you're just simply one of the best. So we'll see if Scherzer can come through here. So 1-0 as Altuve is at second. And another curveball. Looks like no intention so far to pitch to Alvarez.
So it feels like Scherzer is not even giving Alvarez a chance to bat this. You mentioned about knowing where the pitch is at. So Scherzer wants to take Alvarez out of his comfort zone.
2-0, 95. Again, all of them have been well outside. It's 3-0. Don't know if you're going to get the intentional walk sign here, but Abreu is going to be due up next, and he's hit a clutch home run in the previous game. So could be an opportunity for the Astros if Scherzer doesn't execute here. And again, that's what I thought would happen. It's 3-0. They're just going to put Alvarez on.
Safe choice for Scherzer because Alvarez, you mentioned, he's the most dangerous hitter in baseball. And the Rangers made the safe choice in walking him to first.
So I know all the niceties I said about Scherzer to open, and I meant those. But if Scherzer makes a mistake here, Houston can get right back into this ball game because Jose Abreu's got supreme power. It's a curveball, 1-0.
Scherzer, he can deliver that power, as is noted, throughout his career, whether it be between the Tigers, Nationals, Mets, and now the Rangers, known for clutch moments.
High leverage at bat for the double-eyed color Scherzer here against Jose Abreu. You've seen him a lot with the White Sox and Tigers. 95 will split the plate, make it 1-1.
Oh boy.
So that always makes me wonder what I'm going to see next. It's 1-1. Abreu went on the bat rack. It's Alvarez and Altuve at first and second with 1 out. Houston needs some runs. Scherzer gets the sign, sets and throws. And this is going to be fair down the third base line. It scores Altuve, and Abreu comes through with a clutch hit.
So, even though that you want Jordan Alvarez, you got to account for Jose Abreu. Of course, he has been stepping it up this postseason. And to have him follow up behind Alvarez, a good managerial decision by Dusty Baker.
I think so, too. And that's a tough play on the third base side. A diving effort just went past the glove, and Abreu hit it perfectly to score a run. And now you got to deal with Michael Brantley, who Scherzer does not have good numbers against. So maybe that was kind of Dusty Baker's design to get some ducks on the pond and see if Brantley can finish this off in the middle of the order. This could be tailor-made. Here's the flip from second to first, a double play, and Scherzer gets out of it. It's 3-1.
So, no further damage done after that. Jose Altuve off the run. No more of that. Even though you don't even give Jordan Alvarez a chance, that is as good as it can get for the Texas Rangers and that defense.
That's exactly what you needed there. You were in hot water. Again, you scored 3. If you gave up 1 or less, I think you feel pretty good if you're Scherzer. Again, talking about the defense coming into this game, Texas has been brilliant. And it's that was a simple turn, but we've seen some teams mess that up as well.
And let's not forget, when it comes to the Rangers and for manager Bruce Bochy, I want to point out about his track record managing teams. No manager has ever managed a bullpen better than he has. And even though the Rangers, they don't have as strong of a bullpen as the Astros do, Josh Sborz has been really, and I mean really, stepping it up throughout this postseason. And Bochy has trusted him to be the setup man as the first reliever out.
Yeah, he's been kind of a life raft for the Texas Rangers when they've been struggling, almost drowning in certain situations. They've been able to rely on Josh Sborz to be able to get the job done. I completely agree with you.
Definitely, and that you set up Aroldis Chapman and his outstanding fastball that he can go at triple digits. It's not the 106 that he once had, but man, I remember when he used to set the Guinness World Record for fastest pitch.
You know what's amazing to me, Alec, on that side is Aroldis Chapman's getting up there, but he still consistently throws about $1.02 on that side. And he's been able to bring it. I remember when they brought him up, as you said, with the Cincinnati Reds, setting up all those records. He's been the real deal from day one. I know he can have some control issues at times, but really isn't anybody I would want in the corner if I'm Texas other than Chapman and Sborz here.
And to set up the closer, Jose Leclerc, it used to be Will Smith's spots, but Smith lost that spot to Leclerc before the postseason started.
Yeah, and Leclerc has really stepped up too. So the one thing that, from what you talked about in the bullpen setup for Texas and the games that they've had the lead, and I know this is obvious, but the games that they've had the lead, they've been able to use Sborz, Chapman, Leclerc. They haven't had to go to the other depth side of the bullpen where things can get a little murky.
Yeah, things can get a little murky on the Rangers side of the bullpen, but Bochy knows how to manage it to his advantage.
Yes, he does. And for Houston, you have the opportunity when you have Abreu and Presley that those are probably the 2 best closers remaining. No disrespect to anybody on the Phillies side or the Diamondbacks, but that really is the truth. Until you blow a save, I'm not going to go ahead and dismiss anything that Ryan Presley has been doing.
And absolutely not. He's perfect in the postseason, 14 of 14. Truly elite.
So the member of the Wayne State Warriors in college, the local Michigan pitcher here, Hunter Brown, he is going to take over. So Dusty Baker is going to use any and all arms. We were wondering how long Phil Maton's going to go. That was just 2/3 of an inning because Christian Javier went 1/3 of an inning in the score reset for 4 hits and 3 earned runs. So you couldn't have predicted that. Scherzer at least got out of the bottom of the first with a double play, 2 hits, 1 earned run, and that's your reset so far. It's a 3-1 lead for Texas as they're going to be going to the top of the order again after Leody Taveras.
So we'll see how long Hunter Brown can go. You expect to see at least 2 innings out of him, 2 or 3 before you get your next guy on. But he's going to play it safe for Dusty Baker.
Yeah, like I agree with you because Hunter Brown is usually a starter on that side most of the time, and he will give you a few innings, and they're going to need it.
Definitely.
So 3-1, it's a full count against Leody, and again, Houston's already had a ton of trouble, 3 stolen bases in the top of the first. You don't want to get Taveras on, and this is going to be through Hunter Brown's legs. This is a nice play by Pena. Scoop and toss over to Abreu, and Taveras is out.
All right, so it's just as simple as that for Hunter Brown. Simple as it can get.
3-3 is the side of both of the series, as they've showed that on there. And Game 7 tomorrow between the Diamondbacks and Phillies will be about 8:15 Eastern, thereabouts. Be on a little bit earlier, just before the time happens. And for the World Series, I think that is the start. I don't know if it's 7 o'clock, but that might be the pregame. But we'll get that all situated once we know everything. Semien takes a fastball up, and it's 1-0.
Just second get for Marcus Semien as the leadoff batter. You'd wonder. I was questioning the decision previously on having Semien left as the leadoff batter because he's not having the stats that a leadoff batter would normally have.
No, he hasn't had the regular season numbers, that's for sure. Chas McCormick gets underneath it. And this is some big outs right now for Hunter Brown. I won't understate this. They need to keep Texas off the board here.
You definitely need to, because that struck ball that went over to center field clearly did not have the distance. Good job there.
So be an opportunity now for Corey Seager. He's already hit one out of here. He opened the scoring. We'll see what he can do again. He is a prime-time bat. You would think low-key MVP consideration for somebody like that in the AL. He's really been that good. And any type of ALCS MVPs, you can mark that on, or even the World Series should they get there. Corey Seager 6 for 27 in the series with a couple of bombs. As we get a little bit of an ump cam, he's a little bit early on that splitter, making 1-1.
I know Corey Seager at the solo shots. He's hungry for two. See if that happens, but that fire's in his eyes for the former World Series MVP.
Yeah, he's a definite winner alongside with the Dodgers. He got that big contract from Texas, and then right after that, they get Semien in the same part of the season. It took him a year, but we knew all the other bats that Texas had would definitely percolate, and they have. You bring in players like Josh Jung and Evan Carter, well, then there you go. They get some extra pitching, and Texas can be dangerous for years to come. 2-1 as the splitter misses outside the zone, and the count swells to 3-1. Be careful with Seager here.
You got to be careful, because when he sees a pitch he likes, he's going to fire it immediately.
Yeah, that bat looks like it's been through a war. It's 3-1. Big swing for Seager. This is going to split the gap. He's had a great game so far. He's going to make the turn to second as McCormick gets it in. Seager's got a home run, and now he's got a double.
And just remember, Chas McCormick has been inserted in place of Mauricio Dubon at center field. Michael Brantley was replacing McCormick at left field, forcing McCormick to return back to center field because of that. And so that could be a big swing for Houston if he wants to get something defensively. But so far, they see that gap being split between left and center.
Beautiful hits both times from Seager, driving into the left field wall. I understand a little bit of a short porch on that end, but still, you're going to hit that one dead center, split the gap, and now Evan Carter, who's been really, really good. He'll take a fastball, 4 ball at 97. He's walked in his first plate appearance.
And for Evan Carter, he has a stolen base. That's 2 straight stolen bases between him and Adolis Garcia. And Seager, who had that solo shot to begin with to set Texas up in a good position. And we'll see if there's some more home run magic.
I'm going to go ahead and use this reference. I know it's old, but it kind of looked like a Jack Nicholson Shining reference for Max. When you see his face, he's dialed in right now. He wants to be able to get another run here for Texas with Evan Carter. It's 2-0, as this is a fastball. Perfect pitch for Brown. Make it 2-1.
That good pitch, Cupcake and Carter guessing on that pitch, because those pitches can be hard for batters to swing at.
Yeah, 97 right on the black. You really got to just, whether or no it's going to be a ball or a strike, got to make that split decision. And another dot from Brown right in the same spot. So Carter will take it. It's 2-2.
Evan Carter, this rookie has been really fun to watch. We'll see how this one goes.
So 2-2 as the Towels wave. It's 2 outs. They're trying to hold Texas off the scoreboard in the second inning after a Seager double. This is going to be the third base line, and this will be thrown over by Bregman, and they will get Carter by half a step. So Texas is turned away after a Seager double, and Houston back to the bat rack with Scherzer coming out.
And for Max Scherzer, he wants to continue with a solid outing, but remember, he may be on a short leash, so he could be limited to, say, 4 or 5. If he's feeling it's say this series will be 80 pitches to 89, 80 to 89 pitches on that part. So once it gets to that could be a ceiling for tonight.
I'm going to go ahead and say you said that perfectly as a coach would, Alec, because I'm right in lockstep with you. I don't see Scherzer getting any way past like 75, 80 pitches. I think that's a ceiling. You can make him fresh for the next start out there if they can get into the World Series, because, again, he'll play a big part of that. And then you can lock in. Let's say Scherzer's healthy. You got Montgomery on that side, and you can try to mix in everything else. And all of a sudden, you had Scherzer in there if Texas advances, and they look a heck of a lot better in their starting pitching rotation.
Scherzer fully healthy, that's going to be a big boost to the Rangers starting pitching if they make it to the World Series and hang on to the end. So remember, Game 7s are all about surprises. It's like a box of chocolate. You don't know what you're going to get. Remember,
no, you don't.
April 30th, when both the Florida Panthers and Seattle Kraken knock off the top seeds in their respective conferences.
Yeah, that's still NHL playoffs that I couldn't believe on that side for the Panthers to be able to get in last year, for Calgary to just miss out, certain teams just miss out on the final day. You never know what's going to happen, as you said. I mean, hell, even in the NLCS, I did not expect after a 2-0 lead for the Philadelphia Phillies on that end that the Arizona Diamondbacks would force a Game 7. So I wonder if we have any indications yet, the NLCS, who's going to be pitching tomorrow.
The problems are Rangers Suarez and Brandon Fox for these two teams.
Okay, so I've not seen Fod yet this year, but 2.13 ERA, Rangers Suarez, 0.64 bingo numbers, and 0.64 whip as well. So my goodness, I guess there's going to be a lot of intrigue. According to the ESPN side, it heavily favors the Phillies, but we will see. You can't write out Arizona. Again, Alec talked about it and made a great point about this, and we'll bring it home as we're in the commercial break. For Arizona, they opened up with a pitching staff against the Milwaukee Brewers that are really good, knocked them out, swept the Dodgers, and have now taken the Phillies to a Game 7, regardless of what happens with the Diamondbacks. Management, players should be very impressed, and hopefully they can make the continuation to get this team better going forward, because they've been great this year.
These two teams, they're certainly really evenly matched up against one another.
So it's Max Scherzer against Kyle Tucker in the bottom of the second. Tucker desperately needs to get those numbers up. And the fastball, he's going to put a can of corn on the left field side. No problems here for Evan Carter as he makes the catch. So they're going to show Max Scherzer and all the places that he's been and what he's done. I can tell you this. I was a little bit sad in 2012 when they couldn't win the World Series against the Giants. It was the Pablo Sandoval experience with the 3 home runs in the one game, which I'll never forget about. But Bruce Bochy won the World Series there with the Giants yet again. But again, he's been all over. He's won a Cy Young with the Nationals, World Series on that side. He's about as good as it gets. He's a first ballot lock alongside Justin Verlander.
These two definitely first ballot Hall of Famers, as they have been so terrific in their primes. And that time, Evan Carter taking care of Big Kyle Tucker. He did get 2 hits in Game 5. That's something to boost his confidence up, but he still needs to improve on this if Houston goes to the World Series.
Yes, he does. They're going to need more length in that lineup that Houston is very used to having. Chas McCormick can be clutch. He does play a hell of a center field. Fastball a little bit early on, falls it back, make it 2-1.
Chas McCormick, yes, you mentioned, as much as he can get, especially with the value that he provides on the defensive side.
We'll get the sign from Jonah Heim as Max Scherzer and a curveball. That had a lot of movement on it, but that missed. It's 3-1. McCormick does have a ton of speed, so you want to make sure you watch him on the base pass. I mean, you got to watch all the Texas Rangers on the base pass. They had their running shoes on in the first inning, so we'll see if the Astros can kind of make the adjustment. But Scherzer does a decent job of holding the runners. Jeremy Pena would be next if McCormick does reach, waiting on the 3-1. Max taking an awfully long time here as Javier can do nothing but look on. And good take there from McCormick, draws the walk.
Already Scherzer drawing 1 walk and getting an out on Kyle Tucker to begin with. Now up against Jeremy Pena, the reigning World Series MVP. I know the Astros lineup is as good as it can get. Peña's numbers have been down from last year because the story this year has been Jordan Alvarez. But Peña, he can still strike.
Yeah, Pena in the regular season this year still had good numbers, 263, 10 bombs, 52 RBI, not like it was last year, as Alex said. But in the postseason, he's batting 194. And this is a guy that, when he's really rolling, I'm not going to say middle of the order, but he definitely wouldn't be batting eighth if he was running the way that he usually would. So the Astros do need him to come through. I already mentioned Tucker, who they gave the extension to, and Bregman, who they got to figure out. So Pena, this is a curveball, and be fouled straight back, make it 1-1.
And you know that Peña, if he does at his best, he would normally be higher up in this order, not anywhere in the bottom three. You'd imagine him being somewhere in the middle three with how Alvarez has been batting.
Yeah, with his defense, his speed, and all the other tools he has, you think he can put it together here. And the Astros desperately need it right now. Again, it's a 3-1 game. They're showing Max Scherzer's postseason starts. It's been all over the place in between Texas, the Mets, the Dodgers, the Nationals, and the Tigers. Second pitcher all time to go for 5 different teams in a postseason game. So he's been good for a long time, no doubt about it. Remember when he started with the Diamondbacks and Tigers made the trade alongside with Austin Jackson, able to bring Scherzer to Detroit. I did lose Curtis Granderson in the process, which made me sad locally, but Scherzer has been as good as it gets for a long time, alongside Verlander on the Houston Astros side. And if the Astros win another World Series, maybe Verlander retires as an Astro. Who knows? 1-2 is the count against Pena. And another runner is going and did not get the tag down. So stolen bases aplenty. This time the first one for the Houston Astros is McCormick takes second.
Oh, so now this can get things interesting here. I know both teams, we all know about them being evenly matched with the exception of the bullpens. But you can think that these two teams are going tit for tat in a game 7.
I don't think I've ever seen this many stolen bases in a game that's as critical as this. And Pena strikes out. Scherzer gets him with the fastball.
A little swing and a miss from Peña to get him right out, and he knew it. He mistiming that swing. Even though he had stolen bases to play, the Diamondbacks had 4 of them in game 6 earlier tonight.
And again, for Torey Lovullo on that side, he mentioned that from a few games ago that we covered in game 2. They just didn't play Diamondbacks baseball from what you just spoke about, the 4 stolen bases. That's more like it. When you got guys like Corbin Carroll and Ketel Marte might be the best hitter in postseason baseball right now.
He has an argument outside of Jordan Alvarez.
He's had that long on-base streak going. He's been working through his first playoff run. Martin Maldonado, he does have the power, does not have the averages. It's 0-1. Buckled them with the curveball. Did he go? Yes, he did, says the first base umpire. Make it 0-2.
And he checked it. He got enough of that right across the zone to make that a strike 2.
So I will say this early within the first 6 potential outs for Scherzer. The velocity still at 95. Again, we're seeing featuring all of his pitches. He's looked good so far.
And so far for Scherzer, he has been looking outstanding.
So 0-2 pitch against Maldonado. And I think Maldonado went. Yes, he did. He got him on the splitter. So Scherzer doesn't give up anything in the second despite the stolen base. And after 2, it's a 3-1 lead for the Rangers.
With those smiles on our faces, knowing that we're seeing Game 7 Max Scherzer on full display.
Yes.
I know the Washington Nationals can attest to this in the World Series 4 years ago. And they can definitely smile on that with Mr. National Ryan Zimmerman.
That definitely is Mr. National. I don't think of anyone else other than that in that uniform.
It's been between the Nationals and when they were in Montreal as the Expos. It's been years upon years of frustration before that World Series win, but once they got there, it's their ultimate climax of their franchise's history and the perfect send-off for Mr. National.
Yeah, it was. And then you also, like you said, you mentioned Scherzer, and then Steven Strasburg played a huge part of that. And then Juan Soto, who is now at the San Diego Padres. I think the unfortunate thing that I heard is they're wondering whether or not Steven Strasburg will ever pitch again. Unfortunately, all the other injuries that he sustained might hold him out of baseball, but nonetheless, I mean, he was a first-round pick. He was one of the best. He had some injury concerns, but he helped bring that team to the World Series alongside the names that were mentioned. He had a great career.
And not to mention Trey Turner, who's now on the Phillies, and he came up big. Even though the departure of Bryce Harper was heartbreaking, but it allowed the Nationals to get the cap space they need to fill out the rest of their roster holes after starting the year 19-31. And that turnaround, perfect.
Yeah, when everybody talks about this, I'll just make this mention about shortening the season. Sometimes, because 162 is a lot, we get it. Maybe some type of in-season tournaments like the NBA does. But if you don't have those 162 games, Washington Nationals probably don't make the playoffs, and they definitely don't win the World Series.
Yes, even though losing Harper sucks, it's of course he's one of your franchise's faces. And then again, you got to have enough cap space to get everyone right around. That includes Scherzer, Zimmerman, Strasburg, Soto, Turner, everyone that's been around that Nationals team, especially with your manager Dave Martinez.
Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a rebuild now, but what happens is if you win the ultimate prize, you pay that price, and you're willing to do that rebuild, and I think the fans and everyone else will give you some leniency as you work to get to that point again. I know rebuilds, they cannot be fun sometimes, but Washington will be in a good situation. They know what winning's like, and they'll figure it out. There's a lot of other teams that still need to be able to do that, as we're going to be getting into the top of the third here shortly. So Hunter Brown will be back on the mound. He's going to be going up against Adolis Garcia.
No, the guy who's been having his way with these Astros is right back on. I know the Blues are going to be raining down because of the little scuffle at Game 5, but his 3-run home run and his grand slam, the pinnacle of his career.
Good stat by Fox, their first player all time to have RBIs in 6 straight games. And I mentioned this even with the 4 strikeouts yesterday when I joined Alec and on the grand slam side of it. I really don't think booing is the right thing you want to do to Adolis Garcia. I think he's just the type of guy that feeds in on the energy. So that's to the Houston Astros' peril, in my opinion, as Hunter Brown trying to feed something on the one-on-one. This is a fastball, does get the call just outside the zone, make it 1-2.
When you boo someone so many times it counts here in a match, you're going to give him a lot of fire in the eyes to hit something big, and that is what Garcia did in Game 6, as you mentioned last night.
Knuckle curve, will go way down in the dirt, make it 2-2. And again for Adolis, talking about RBI leads and some of the things that he can do. His numbers were terrific. 107 RBI, 245 batting average, but 39 bombs with 65 walks. So Garcia waiting on the 2-2 way high, and Garcia's got a jackknife out of the way to the crowd's delight.
Oh, that was so close. Look at these guys. Garcia up there with Nelson Cruz for the most RBI in a single postseason in franchise history. Wow.
Well, if you're up there with the boomstick and Nelson Cruz, you're doing something correct.
Well, he has been outstanding.
So Nelson Cruz has been one of the best, and Adolis Garcia might pass that at this point. So it's 3-2, top of the third, 3-1 lead, and Hunter Brown delivers the fastball. Garcia will watch it. To the right field side, if it's fair, it's gone. It is gone. Garcia does it again.
Boy, it's been a delight to watch Adolis Garcia coming in with this fire in his eyes as he smokes it right to the bullpen. And the only ones that are smiling here are the ones in the Texas blue and red. And Adolis Garcia, a new franchise record for most RBI in the postseason history.
I'll tell you this honestly, Detroit and Texas played each other a lot in the playoffs when times were good with the Tigers, and Nelson Cruz was the biggest pain in the you-know-what. And now Adolis Garcia is bringing that same pain to the Houston Astros. And I mention this as he gives a kiss to the crowd and everybody else. Keep on booing Adolis Garcia at your own peril. 4th straight game with a home run.
And all smiles here. And someone that used to play for the Pirates is now on the Rangers. Austin Hedges, the backup to Jonah Heim.
Yeah, that's going to be fun on that side when you get to play some big baseball. I know Alec had mentioned about some of the pieces that the Pirates do have. I do hope that that works out going forward. Same thing with the Tigers, the Royals. It's no fun when you're in the basement. Oakland needs to get to Vegas and start getting things squared away. It's 3-0 against Mitch Garver, and Hunter Brown had a good first inning when in relief, and now not so much as Garver. It's 3-0. There's still no outs after Adolis Garcia bomb. And 3-0, it's an obligatory take here for Garver. Make it 3-1 as it splits the plate.
Mitch Garver, he can definitely get big runs going onto the left and right. He had the second grand slam in Rangers postseason history. That came game 2 against Baltimore, and he came up big against Houston. He's still coming up big.
Fastball a little high, but it's fouled back. Working to a full count here for Hunter Brown. So we'll just tell you the Astros pitching line not very pretty again. Third inning for Javier, 4 hits, 3 earned runs. Phil Maton went 2/3, finished out the first with 2 strikeouts, but after that, everybody's been getting hit up. It's a full count pitch, and the fastball will punch Garver away. That was perfectly placed.
You'd wonder if a 4-1 lead is a comfortable lead going down the stretch. But for the Rangers, it seems that tight games usually aren't the most comfortable. But when they get opportunities, they've shown in the past that they can keep games tight and they can close them out. Evidenced by game 1 against Baltimore.
Yeah, as you said, when we talk about the top portion of the bullpen between Chapman and Spores and Leclerc, you feel good there in a tight part of the game, but for everything else, not so much. How about this? The last 3 at-bats, 3 for 3, 2 bombs, 6 RBIs, and 3 runs scored for Adolis Garcia.
Oh, I love that for him. He's their best guy when it comes to getting home runs out the park. He and Corey Seager have been the driving force of this offense, alongside the other acquisition, Marcus Semien.
And if I'm correct, I'm just clicking on Adolis' name on the ESPN side. He was a little bit of a late bloomer, and he was brought in. Sometimes that happens in baseball, where they want to keep people buried in the minors and try to save the pre-arbitration side of it. Hasn't played all that much. Already 30 years old, but I mean, he's playing like one of the best players in baseball when he gets to the bat rack. So he's doing all of his Jordan Alvarez impressions.
Yeah, well, 39 home runs in the regular season, and he's now up to more than 40 in the postseason with that 4-game home run streak. He's been making history.
Yeah, and this Texas offense, again, for whoever picked them in the regular season, I tip my hat to you. But we knew one thing Texas was going to have was hitting on that side of it, because you saw it a couple of years ago. It was about everything else coming together. They went through so many pitching injuries, but they did trade for Jordan Montgomery. They did bring over Scherzer. Again, Heim doesn't go, makes it 2-2. So Texas has found a way, even without the Grom and some of the other things that they expected, to be right back where they should be, at least offensively. If they get that pitching, as you said in the postseason, they can go far. Well, now they've worked their way into a Game 7 in the ALCS with the lead. And they started 7-0 in this postseason. Again, Alec and I covered their very first game against the Rays. It's a full count.
I know Bruce Bochy knows about winning in Game 7s. He's 2-0 in that regard. I may have mentioned this before, but I want to throw it up there again. Bruce Bochy has not lost in a Game 7.
You can't mention it enough, Alec, on that side. Again, he's the best. That's the guy you want in the corner here. And it's an easy one, as it's a full count. Again, fastball. This will be jam shot. Altuve will toss this one over. 2 outs. And from what we talked about from the hockey side to the baseball side, I mean, you go from Bruce Cassidy to Bruce Bochy in between Vegas and Texas, respectively. It's about as easy as a hire as you can get.
You just pick up the phone, call him, and it is definitely as easy as it can get if you are either the Golden Knights or the Rangers.
So this will bring up the next batter in Nathaniel Lowe. Again, he's trying to do some damage. Normally for Nathaniel Lowe, if he was rolling, he would be a little bit further up in this order, as we talked about Pena in the previous half inning, but 217 in the postseason for Nathaniel Lowe. His regular season numbers 262 on that side with 82 RBI and 17 jacks and 93 walks. So when he's really rolling, he moves up in that lineup. 96 will be inside and make it 1-1.
And when he can get rolling, he can really do it. The scene in Game 5 previously, he had a solo shot that tied up that game 1 apiece. So when he's really in stride, he is in stride. night and can get those right out the park.
And from a couple games ago, from what we covered on that side, it was some singles from Lowe that turned into some home runs, 2 of them for Josh Jung, who will be due up next should Nathaniel Lowe reach. Make it 2-1 as Brown is going to deliver his 40th pitch in relief appearance. That'll be J.P. France, starting to get warm as the splitter will hit the plate, make it 2-2.
So J.P. France, normally a starter, but he is coming off the bullpen in these situations because of what happened with Christian Javier. Not the best outing, and boy, this is a really big shakeup in the game plan for Dusty Baker.
Strike 3. Nathaniel Lowe takes a look in, and Houston, they're down 4-1. They'll be going to the bat at the bottom of the third.
So now we'll see about the Astros if they can bounce back. Now I know this game may have the makings of shootout, and that could be what's in store because with how the game has been going, perhaps there might be something there unless the Rangers have a save or two.
Yeah, and it's going to depend for me right now for Max Scherzer. How many more innings is he going to go, and how good is he going to look? Again, I understand you look at the postseason ERA. Right now it says 9. You kind of take that first game and the Game 3 side, you throw it out the window. I know some fans are going to disagree with me when you don't pitch in over a month on that, and you got to find your way to work back through it. They wanted to bring him back earlier. They did not. They brought him into Game 3 with a 2-0 lead for the Rangers. And again, as I said, they're going to need him going forward. We'll see how many more innings Scherzer can go, but he's looked good so far in the first 2 innings.
Exactly what the Rangers needed once he's on the mound. For him to deliver and quality he pitches. And only allowing 1 run. That kept coming up from Jose Altuve on that RBI. What was it? The RBI base hit from Jose Altuve, yeah.
Yeah, the RBI, yeah. Yes, the one from Brady with the hit, the double that shattered the glass on the left side of the scoreboard.
Yeah, it's one of those bats that you don't expect to see. But that can definitely happen. It's a possibility in Houston.
So I'm just going to go ahead and click on the box score of what Alec just covered for us. So Merrill Kelly, he does the job in the NLCS as they force a Game 7 to the Arizona Diamondbacks. 5 innings of strong work, 3 hits, 1 earned run, and 8 strikeouts. That's one of his best outings in the postseason. Surprise for me on the other end for the Phillies, Aaron Nola, not too sharp. 4 1/3, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, and 4 strikeouts. What did you see in that game?
From what I saw, the Diamondbacks, they finally got the run support that they needed in the first 5 innings because for most of the series, they did the majority of their damage in the latter 4 innings, especially games 3 and 4 at home. They wanted to get something in the first 5 innings, and that's exactly what they did with Tommy Pham and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Back-to-back solo shots in the 2nd inning.
Holy cow, yeah, back-to-back solo shots, and then Ketel Marte, they like to say, a triple to right, scored Corbin Carroll, and then in the 7th, again, a single to center, scored Geraldo Perdomo, as it was a 5-1 final. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on the next day part of action. So at 8:07 start time on TBS, that is where we'll be on the TV side and on the Twitter space and on the YouTube end. Alec and I will join in on that. I imagine we'll be doing a lot of the play-by-play stuff because of the class for Alec. But still, he'll probably join me in on that one. We'll take in Game 7 and take a couple days off before we head into the World Series. I know you might cover some basketball, but I've had about 6 straight days of work. I'm going to take a little bit of a respite.
I feel that.
So Jose Altuve is at the bat rack now, and he's going to reach for a pitch, and this will be easy for Semien as he tosses it over low, and that's a big out for Scherzer there anytime you can keep Jose Altuve off the bases.
Especially since he had all of his hits in the last 5 games of this series. Did not have a single hit in the first 2 games, 0 for 8. Now he's 9 for 21 when you count this out. Altuve knows how to turn it on, especially that 3-run homer in 8-5.
Speaking of someone that needs to turn it on, it's Alex Bregman. He's at the dish now. It's the top of the order. Big swing and a miss. So Scherzer's topped out at about 95. I don't think anything's wrong with the velocity. If he's really on, about 96, 97. I know he's getting up there in age, about 38 years of age now. Verlander's in his 40s. These guys have been doing it for a long time on both sides. But Scherzer still locates all 5 of his pitches. But you do need Bregman. He cannot be hitting 184. I mean, even if they get to the World Series, if he doesn't play a big part of it, I'd be shocked.
I would be shocked if he doesn't get his numbers up by World Series if the Astros make it there. 184, you cannot be hitting that.
No, he's a franchise-type player. And again, he's in the top part of the order. I don't blame Dusty Baker for doing that because, I mean, you have to have between Tucker or Bregman to be one of the guys you would expect to help Altuve. This one's going to get popped up high. We'll take a look at it, but it'll go straight back into the crowd.
Yeah, it's going to go to the crowd. And for Bregman, he's one of the heart and soul players of this Astros team looking to turn things around.
Yeah, and from what we said, when you have Alvarez there next and then Abreu, you could put yourself in an intentional walk situation if nobody helps out Alvarez. So Bregman's got to come through here. Most postseason strikeouts at 170. And Bregman, it's not going to be a strikeout here. This is driven left field. Gone. Bregman does the job that he needed. It's 4-2.
Now, immediately, you wonder what Mike Maddox and Bruce Bochy are going to put up with here in the bottom of the third inning with how Max Scherzer's been doing. He's doing an okay job, but Alex Bregman definitely needed this one to boost his confidence.
I think that's a perfect call by you, Alec. Again, he's on the phone right now as Maddox. I think that's a good job. I think Max has done enough here, not letting the game get out of the way. Now you got to make sure Yordan Alvarez doesn't spoil the party here for the Rangers. You got Abreu next after that. And Scherzer just saying, I can't hear you as far as this pitch clock, the comm systems that they're using, so we'll step out and get a meeting with Heim.
You know, I don't blame Scherzer for initiating that meeting with Heim because it's so loud in here. Even I can't hear Jonah Heim after all that noise in the crowd is putting on. It's a sold-out crowd here.
Yeah, they're in a frenzy now. They needed one of their big players to come through with a solo shot, and Alex Bregman sitting dead red on the fastball. That's got to feel good when you ping the baseball off the wall like that. I mean, that's the deepest part of the center field.
Right onto the wall at the very deepest part, and that can get the train engine going up the juice box.
Yes, it can. They like to hit that after every home run. Bregman gets a big one, but now you got Yordan Alvarez. They were able to walk him pretty much on a 3-0 last. So we said, go ahead and just put him on. But now it's Alvarez. He does take a curveball that he could swing at 77, and it's a strike.
When you give him something that he likes, he's going to definitely do it.
Yordan Alvarez. Big swing of the fastball. He'll follow it straight back, make it 0-2. So now there's not going to be any intentional walks here. Going to try to attack Alvarez as they're heading the count, make it 0-2.
So Scherzer switching it up here, going from intentional walk in the first at-bat to attack Alvarez.
I like it. This is kind of a bull-on-bull type matchup. You got two horses that don't want to give in here, and we'll see because these are two very proud players and a supreme hitter and a supreme pitcher that have done this for a long time. We'll see if Alvarez comes through here and gets Houston another run closer. It's 0-2. And this is a good swing of a curveball way off the plate, and it's whistled foul.
I know Alvarez, he's known for big bats, and he can definitely deliver big bats. And with the game plan that Scherzer has been using on Alvarez is trying to counter that with blast right out the park.
Alvarez has been on this. Some of these have been enough out of the zone, but he still offered it anyway. And as you said, Alec, again, from that previous pitch on the curveball, it kind of looked like Vlad Guerrero Sr. He could hit the ball with his shoes out of the ballpark. He almost did that on the previous. Jordan Montgomery is warning. Bruce Bochy said he'd use him at least for an inning. As it's 0-2. Another pitch inside off the cutter, and Alvarez continues to stay alive.
I may be ahead again.
So we're going to go ahead and see. I'm getting late reactions downstairs, so I hope nobody picks that up. I'm going to call this in real time as I see it. Somebody's rooting for the Astros down there. 0-2. This is a swing way off the plate. As Alvarez is going to drive this out, it's at the wall. This goes off the scoreboard. Alvarez is going to cruise it. He's going to try for 3. It's a stand-up triple.
That's the second time that one of the panels has been blown off the United Airlines scoreboard. Alvarez saw this one coming right down through the scoreboard. Evan Carter tried it. He was jumping up and didn't miss him by much.
Alec, I'm going to give Alvarez full marks on that. I mean, that's like 6 inches outside the zone. He could take it for a ball and find another pitch to swing at. Instead, he puts the bat head low, keeps his eyes on it, and drives it to left field. Are you kidding me? What a swing.
Yeah, this man is just straight out balling. He's taking every swing that he can get. I mean, that was how many swings consecutively on that sequence? I lost count.
Yeah, the hand-eye coordination on that, to be able to stay with it, is incredible. Jose Abreu, for me, has got one job: sacrifice fly. I understand a hit's important, but got to drive in another run, as you got Scherzer almost semi on the ropes here. So Abreu's got to at least do that. It's 0-1, as this is a heavy swing and a miss. Not a good one there for Abreu. Make it 0-2.
I counted it up. It's 6 straight swings at the ball for Jordan Alvarez on that sequence.
He was locked in, and he would not be denied against Max Scherzer. Scherzer's got to put the Band-Aid on here right now and make sure that Texas has the lead. You do have Jordan Montgomery, but you know his leash is going to be short. And Scherzer's leash might already be done depending on what happens here. 1 out, bottom 3, 0-2, Abreu. And this is going to keep Alvarez at third. Abreu does not come through, but it's still one more out to get.
So Abreu doesn't get his wish. He doesn't get the sac fly right on. And you mentioned, John, he wanted the sac fly. Unfortunately, didn't get that. Didn't strike it at the position that he wanted to. And there may be a pitching change. So Scherzer might be done here.
Bruce Bochy is on the mound with Jonah Heim. Yes, he's giving up the baseball. Max Scherzer's done. He's responsible for the runner in third. He's not going to be in line for a win because nobody went deep, but Jordan Montgomery, is he going to get the final out here in this third? And then we'll see what happens, because Jordan Montgomery is not going to go very long either.
Yeah, I don't think so. Want to be any one of these starters, and you can't use Nathan Bochy because he went yesterday, and he delivered 7 nice innings instead of Josh Morris in a great situation. And Jose Leclerc getting the Rangers out of a bases loaded situation, and then Andrew Haney for the last sequence. 4 pitches, 3 outs.
I know you can't answer this question, but I'm just thinking out loud over the last few games, and entertain this here for me. We know that John Gray and Martin Perez over the last couple seasons were starters, but I've been seeing them used in the 7th and 8th innings. Any chances we see those two guys today?
There is a realistic opportunity we've seen, because of how this game has been going, Bruce Bochy may have a plan in store for these guys, where it be between John Gray, Martin Perez, Cody Bradford, or Dane Dunning, and even guys like Jordan Montgomery. And even though he should be in line for a Game 1 start on Friday, should the Rangers win tonight, these guys are certainly not on the equation, those that we just mentioned.
Yeah, because the reason I'm asking, we all know this full well. If you have a chance to line this up perfectly for Bruce Bochy, you would think 7, 8, 9 mix in between Chapman, Spores, and Jose Leclerc. So these middle innings are going to be very important for this Texas bullpen to try to find.
Very important, no matter who's at the mound, between Montgomery, Dunning, Bradford, Perez, Gray, anyone. It's all hands on deck for both teams, especially the Rangers.
So if you do yourself a favor and you look on the ESPN box score for anyone listening in on the YouTube side or the Twitter Space side, you're going to see that the pitching numbers are hurting on both sides. But I think that we kind of expected this type of game. Alec did mention the shootout. I think he nailed it right on the head. That's what we're seeing right now, 4-2. I thought Scherzer might get another inning or so. But considering what it
was going to be 80 pitches, but he's not even come close to that.
No.
Now up comes Jordan Montgomery, as he started games 1 and 5. Now he's coming up. He's the 8th pitcher.
Yes, he is. And again, from what I said about Scherzer, again, we thought he'd go a little bit longer, but hell, I thought Christian Javier would pitch more than a third of an inning. So that threw the complete game plan out of the window for both managers. It's just about managing the horses the rest of the way and trying to find out. So Jordan Montgomery has been Mr. Everything. His 3rd career relief appearance. All he's really going to have to do maybe is get this out, and his day might be done. Who knows? As Brantley It's kind of a left-on-left situation, so that's the way that they're going to work it right now for Bruce Bochy's squad. You do have Alvarez at third. This is a very big out to get in the bottom of the third. Abreu couldn't come through with runner third, one out. Brantley really has to right now try to get this within one more run as a 1-0 pitch. This is jumping and caught right at Seager. Brantley hit it hard. Montgomery does the job. And we go to the fourth. Texas got a 4-2 lead.
If you've ever played Wii Sports, any selected sport, especially baseball, that looks like the animation of a me jumping to
it does. It does. That's a good call, Alec, on that side. I'll be right back. I'm just going to go ahead and grab a cough drop, use the restroom real quick.
All right, just to give you guys the scoring rundown here between the Rangers and Astros, we might be anticipating a possible shootout between the Rangers and Astros. 6 runs combined in these first 3 innings. We could be seeing ourselves a matchup for the ages. 4 of them by the Rangers, 2 by the Astros. Corey Seager's solo shot started it in the first inning. Then Adolis Garcia's RBI base hit to left brought in Evan Carter home on that after stolen base by Carter. Then Garcia had a stolen base of his own. And Mitch Garver on the base hit, and Garver came in to take second base. That would be all for the Rangers in the first inning. Then Jose Abreu answered for an RBI base hit to left, brought in Jose Altuve, then 2 Jose's combined on that score. Yes, way, Jose. But Adolis Garcia, who has been tremendously torrid hot, his 4th straight game with a home run, and that set a new franchise record for most postseason RBIs in franchise history. 17 is home run to right, make it 4-1. But Alex Bregman had a say on it. This solo shot to the left wall made it 4-2. That is where our score stands. Max Scherzer pulled after 2 innings. Christian Javier didn't even make it out the first inning. He allowed 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk on 23 pitches. Scherzer, his night went 44 pitches, 30 strikes before Jordan Montgomery came on to Game 7. So that's our scoring here thus far. The winner faces either the Phillies or the Diamondbacks, who play tomorrow in their Game 7 at Citizens Bank Park.
There's your biggie bag. All that food for $5. That's all good too. That's all right, I got. Just like you and me, bag boys. Bag boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when we bring you over? You can always bet on this. And now, people when ordering online.
All right. I am back. Thank you for that, Alec. We're going to go ahead here in the top of the 4th, and we're going to finish off the rest of this game as we're getting some shots here of some former World Series winners. Always nice to see Joe Carter with the Toronto Blue Jays on that side. So Josh Jung, he is up to the dish against J.P. France, who's the new pitcher. Alec, I heard to give all the reset on that side, so no need for me to do any of that. It's 11-6, 3.83 ERA. Another starter that's in here is it's going to be all hands on deck, as we pretty much told you in a Game 7. Anything's happened, everybody's available, regardless of whether or not they feel well enough to do so or not.
Especially you account for the save by Mike Montgomery for the Cubs in that World Series win over the Indians. And that is the pinnacle moment for that Chicago franchise.
Yes, it is. It's a 3-0 count for J.P. France. You got to be careful with Josh Jung. He's already got a couple bombs in this ALCS against the Astros. As Dusty Baker's got that toothpick, he's got the Gatorade right now. A little bit of calming presence. Big swing for Jung. He'll take a look as this one goes foul down the left field line.
If he just centered that right through and get enough juice on that, you would think that he would be gone for getting all 3 bases and then lighting it up.
So, should Jung get on base, it'll be Leody Taveras next. Nonetheless, 8-9-1 in this inning. 3-1. He'll follow the fastball straight back. It's a full count.
I wonder what is going on in these 2 pitchers' minds, for everyone there, no matter who it is, because anyone, as you said, is available. Anyone and everyone.
Yeah, you have the energy and the intensity at an all-time high right now. Again, when you finish this game, regardless of that one of these teams go to the World Series, and I think whoever wins or whoever finishes this game, you're going to be sleeping well tonight because this is complete energy. And this is a fastball blasted the left field line. Brantley going to have to play it on a hop, and Jung gets a single.
Good situation for Texas to get a runner on first base. I know it's 4-2, but given this game, it's far from a comfortable lead. Because once you get the gates wide open, as the Rangers did in Game 6, that's when you turn an uncomfortable lead into a comfortable lead, especially with that grand slam.
Yeah, because again, as you said, in between this fourth that we're in now, and we got the fifth and sixth, these middle innings, we're going to see some bullpen arms that we don't normally see. And honestly, we can't really tell you that any lead is safe. I think the fourth, fifth, and sixth, you might get the most of the damage before we get in the back end of these bullpens that look to close it out. Again, if you had any type of Andrew Miller situation with the Indians, who's a former Tiger, Terry Francona would use him in any leverage situation, maybe get 2 1/3 innings, but you might not see that now. But I can guarantee you, at least on the Houston side, you'll see Abreu, you'll see Presley, you're going to see Leclerc and Chapman and Spores, but maybe for a couple more innings, as it's 2-0. And this is a fastball that'll split the plate against Taveras, make it 2-1.
So everyone is available, even though the Astros, as noted again and again and again, they have the bullpen advantage, but you're going to see names that normally don't come up. So sometimes you can think of someone like a Zach Kent or a Jonah Hernandez, but we won't see Hernandez. He's not on the roster for the ALCS. We could see him in the World Series should the Rangers make it there.
Yeah, once everything starts to expand and you get to that point, yeah, there is a big possibility for that. I have seen him in a couple of regular season games where he was walking in some runs to lose for Texas when they were going with that downslide, but he does have a live arm should he make the roster. Taveras trying to turn this lineup back over to Marcus Semien with still no outs. It's 2-2 with Jung at first as France gets the sign from Maldonado. Good curveball there, and Taveras will take a seat.
That's why the curveball has been the trickiest ball to hit historically. I know it can be tricky for batters as well because you don't know where the placement's going to be. It looks like you'd be going upstairs, but then all of a sudden it goes to the center, and you'll be fooled out by that.
Yeah, you can. You got those sweepers, curves, a 12-6. You can mix it in any sort of direction. He's got the standard curveball that starts up high and goes down low. That's what France is featuring now. They get a chance to cover France in one of the games that the Mariners did on that side between Houston and that side, and he looked pretty good through 5 innings of work and featured about 4 different pitches. So it seems he can be a decent starter here, but Semien and Seager, that's pretty much hell to deal with at this point, and it's 1-0. And a fastball will miss as a cutter at 89, make it 2-0.
And Marcus Semien doesn't have the typical numbers for a leadoff batter. If he were to get that confidence back up, you'd imagine he would get something up here. He's batting 191 to enter this game.
Yeah, when we talked about Bregman that needed to make an adjustment, Semien made the adjustment in Game 6, and they're going to need a full version of Marcus Semien in the regular season heading to the World Series should they get there, because this batting lineup, we'll make no mistake about it, it's the best in the American League. I don't think anybody competes with Texas on that side, but it just adds more length to your lineup when everybody's continuing to roll. 3-0. As JP will get set to deliver, and it's a 4-pitch walk for Semien, so he does his job, and oh my goodness, here comes Corey Seager.
He's been deadly accurate throughout this postseason. I know the series for Corey Seager hasn't been the series that he was looking for, but he popped off against the Rays and Orioles in the first 2 rounds. We'll wonder if the same can be said, but as of late, he's been looking sharp in these first 2 at-bats. Could 3 times be a charm?
Yeah, all he needs now, and again, I'm not even trying to make a joke here, if he gets a single and a triple, he can hit for the cycle, because that first pitch from his first at-bat, he hit that in the second deck in the right field, and that was an absolute bomb. And Seager can be locked in. We mentioned the game with the multiple walks against the Orioles, but the first time in franchise history to get, 5 walks on that side. So Seager is about as good as it gets. Again, 2 for 2 in this game with a home run and a double, as we said. 7 for 28 in this series, so not bad numbers as he's impressed today. Let's see if he can come through with runners in scoring position at first and second. He got Jung and he got Semien with one out. France needs a double play. Big swing and a miss up the curveball for Seager.
The downside to Seager is that he is 3 for 13 this postseason when there are runners on base. So even though he's typically good, his weakness is when there are runners on base.
I guess it's a concentration type of deal. He's good when there's nobody there. As a big curveball, diving play. This is going to be tough. Everybody's going to be safe.
Oh my! I know that's a tough play for Jose Abreu to jump over to his right, but that looked like he had no chance of catching it. And even if the chance that he was going to catch it, it's still a slim percentage that he was going to catch that ball.
I didn't even mean to half call out the cycle when I said it, but now Seager, all he needs is a double. And we're in a situation now for Evan Carter. Look, the lights have been the brightest, and he has just played like it's another game, even a preseason type of game. But Carter can absolutely break this game wide open with the bases loaded and one out in the top of fourth.
I may see something on ALCS vision. That's what I'm going to call because I'm ahead.
So 1-0, Evan Carter against JP France. The bases are juiced. Big swing, right field line. This is going to score at least two. Evan Carter comes through, and it's a 6-2 lead.
The postseason is about heroes, and that's what is mentioned time and time again. This time it is Evan Carter scoring two guys on an RBI double, and all of a sudden the floodgates have opened. Brace your shores.
Well, Alec Vision is seeing it all right now, and I'm glad to have Mr. Alec Nava in on the broadcast. Man, that was just almost inside the line of the first base, down right field. But I really can't tell you this honestly. I'm just going to throw it out there. How are you a 20-year-old kid playing in a moment like this and you're not getting out of your element? You just continue to deliver. That is dreamlike stuff. I mean, we haven't even seen that since Juan Soto when he was 19, when the Nationals won the World Series.
I love when young guys step up and come up big in such big games. You mentioned Juan Soto, Evan Carter's now that new guy, and you teaming with Max Scherzer to do the same thing.
Yeah, it's got to be nice when you have really, really good young players that continue to come through, and make no mistake about it. Evan Carter doesn't look like a kid, Alec, that will just be good for this series. He looks like somebody that's going to be a star for years to come right now.
And he's looking like it, and he's playing the part.
Garcia into the hole. Two more runs for the Rangers. It's 8-2.
You mentioned about all these runs going left and right, and all across the field. Everywhere they come, the Rangers playing a Texas Ranger style of game, and Adolis Garcia at the bat. Remember, pull him enough, you're going to light an even bigger fire in his eyes.
Couldn't agree with you more. I punched that button and I can't punch it enough. For Adolis Garcia, he has been the man in the middle of this order right now. And we talked about how the middle innings were important. I wanted to make sure I made that before we went into break. That I think there could be an avalanche of runs scored right now. This is what we got. And Texas is now up by 6. I understand Houston can come back, but if Texas can find a way to lock down the bottom 4th, 5th, and 6th, they will put themselves in a way, and I'm calling it now, to win this game. These next 3 innings are going to be very important.
I know I had some skepticism about the Rangers making the World Series heading into this postseason because in the middle of the season, they were my pick to go to the World Series. Well, my mid-season pick seems to be aging gracefully now.
Yes, it does. When the bullpen found a way to get back on track enough, Alec, that was all that was needed because we knew that Texas's offense wasn't going to fade.
I know. And this is amazing to see the sights.
They showed Adolis Garcia again, 4 for 4 in his last at bats, and another 2 RBI on that side. Again, I made the mention of it during the regular season about Julio Rodriguez and looking like a pitching machine. Well, you can say that now with Adolis Garcia. You can say it with Evan Carter. You can say it with the entire Texas Rangers offense. As Garver now waiting on a 1-0. Big swing from Garver, but he'll pop this one up to center field. And who wants it on this? Be the shortstop side for Pena. He'll grab it. So big out there for Houston. Damage has been done. They still got one more to get, though, on the top of this fourth. This is 8-2 already.
Already, the floodgates opening right up. I know this is an amazing sight if you're a Rangers fan. Not so much if you're an Astros fan.
Do you think, honestly, I know this is just something I'll throw out there, but Texas, they don't care who they play, do they, when they get to the World Series?
They really don't, no matter if it's Philadelphia or Arizona.
I just don't see. I just don't. Wow, that was caught from Abreu. Holy cow! I thought that was foul. My goodness. So Abreu makes the catch, but the umpire's coming out here real quick. I want to just double check before we leave you here, as we go to the commercial break. I think they are double checking to see whether or not that was caught.
Foul. They're actually going to double check about a foul ball. They're going to ruin a foul ball.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that I got that one correct because Abreu played that stuff on the bag. One was called fair, one was called foul. Looks like this one is, yes, foul side on that, so we'll do it again. That was as close as it gets.
And just on the outside line, very close. And they could not have been any closer than that, John.
No, and when we made the mark just before, I know this at-bat's going to continue about Texas, and I'm not making any disrespect to Wheeler and Nola, because I do feel like they're two of the best starters still remaining, even though Nola got roughed up by the Diamondbacks today in the game that Alec covered, and will be in the Game 7 side tomorrow. But, yeah, I mean, for Texas, they've scored runs against anybody and everybody, and that's why you feel comfortable about it, as it's a 1-1 count. And Jonah Heim will take a cutter inside, make it 2-1.
Jonah Heim, known for a lot of offense and a lot of spectacular catches, so it's in the defensive side. He can do it here.
Yeah, Jonah Heim, it's been a good revelation because we know how good he was defensively, but offensively this year, he's been an all-star. Here's a single down the right field line. The carousel continues. Runners at first and third now.
Now you have runners in the corners. Now you have Garcia in scoring position and Nathaniel Lowe at the bats. Now this prompts Dusty Baker to come out. You mentioned carousel. No, it's the Looney Tunes episode that has that baseball. The conga line.
It is the conga line right now, and if JP France, his day is done, Dusty Baker leaves the hook. Looks like they're going to bring in Hector Neris on the ESPN side. I never thought I would tell you this, Alec, but I'm going to say it openly. Christian Javier, third of an inning, 4 hits, 3 earned runs. We covered that one. JP France's final line might be worse depending on Hector Neris, but so far right now, 2/3 of an inning, 5 hits, and 4 earned runs. So he says to Javier, hold my beer.
Oh my God, it's looking a lot worse than what Javier has put up. And for all the talk about Christian Javier and him having the second combined no-hitter in World Series history behind Don Larson's perfect game.
Mm-hmm.
Now we get to see it. We got an even worse outing from JP France, whose ERA is at a whopping 12.0.
Well, Scherzer was in double digits to start. He's going to end at 945. And as you said, for JP, anytime you hit those double-digit marks, that doesn't look good. And yes, you can actually get infinity if your numbers are bad enough. And Houston bullpen has not provided the relief. I understand Javier didn't get the start. Sometimes that things happen. But with the exception of Phil Maton, it's not been clean for Houston so far.
I know things have not been sharp for the Houston bullpen. But Phil Maton, he actually did good in his short stint in his 2/3 of an inning in the first inning, getting the Astros on there. But it went back to hell in a basket for the Astros.
Yes, it has. And again, I know the hindsight, the 2020 type thing. But for Phil Maton, with 2/3 of an inning and 2 strikeouts, if I'm Dusty Baker, I think the only thing I question right now as far as all the games that we've done, because I know some people say things unfairly, but I'll say this to you openly. unless Phil Maton's completely overworked and he says, Coach, I can't go anymore. 2/3 of an inning, 2 strikeouts. How did you not put him back out there for the second inning?
I wonder what is going on with the mind of Dusty Baker, and I wonder that decision. And Phil is coming back to haunt Houston and getting that off. And that could be the one key on how the Astros are losing. That Phil Maton is still not on the mound. Even though he's not one of your top guys, he's still a high-end reliever. You need him for these situations.
Yes, he is, and he's someone that showed you early when the things were going crazy in the first inning that he would have had ice water in his veins. So I'm just throwing this out there. I know that's not going to be probably the big narrative, but that will be something that I mentioned in the story when this is all said and done. So tomorrow we know we have another game 7. The only thing that's left on this is how many more runs is Texas going to score, because it doesn't look good right now for the Houston Astros. But as I said, in between the fourth that we are in now, the fourth, fifth, and sixth are going to be very important. So if Houston's going to get some answer runs, they got to do this within the next 9 outs, in my opinion. So Hector Neris back out there. He's going to make a relief appearance. It could just be a third of an inning for him. Who knows? First 2 pitches, miss.
And even though he's one of your top guys, basically he's the guy that you put in a 7th inning if the pitcher goes well. This has not been the case. He's seeing action early as the 4th inning. And just like that, these 3 straight balls, it's feel like the type of night that the Astros are having. A complete off night.
Yeah, they need to maybe not play games in Houston. They need to play games in a neutral site next year. Honestly, it's 3-0, and this is 4 straight pitches outside the zone, and none of them were close.
Ooh, it feels like one of those nights for Houston, and the type of night that tends to frustrate you.
I know I said this earlier, and I know you mentioned on the side of it last week we needed to join in after class as we're looking at some of the people with the space helmets on. Don't really like that look, I'll be honest with you on that end. But everybody was talking about Dusty Baker, this and that. Well, right now I can tell you, other than the Phil Maton side of it, Dusty Baker's not to blame for this 8-2.
No, he's not. Even though he has never won a Game 7, he's 0-3 in that regard. I don't think he is to blame because the Astros, they still were put in a position to take this series. But no, in these 2 games at home, it's not even been close. Well, Game 6 technically was. It was close until it wasn't, thanks to Adolis Garcia,
Right.
who's now having the last lap on the Astros.
Yeah, you got to execute. I mean, that's really on that for me for the Houston Astros. I'm not going to say it any other word than that. That comes down to the players. You have the roster and the personnel. You don't get the job done, and you pretty much choke all these games at home. You got 4 home games. How do you not win one of them? If that's the narrative, and that's the Houston Astros for the World Series that they've won, tainted or not, that's going to be an awful taste in the mouth. I don't even know how you blame the manager on that. 2-1. Jung inside, and this will be fouled off. Hector Neris trying to get back into this. It's 2-2.
It's so confusing how this team is not able to win a home game. They did it once, Game 1 against the Twins in the ALCS, and that was it.
It's bizarro land. That's really all you can say. Opposite type day, whatever else it is, for the Houston home woes. Again, it's usually road woes, but not for this team. 2-2. Bases loaded. Josh Jung's already done major damage in this series. Can he do it again and put Texas up by double digits with a base hit or more? Neris off the 2-2. Jung will get this one. It's going to be a tough play. Pena is going to throw it. He will get this one across in time. So good defense for Jeremy Pena. Leaves the bases loaded. But the Texas Rangers, they score 4. It's 8-2 as we enter the bottom 4th.
The hope here for the Rangers is that last out won't matter for them and that they continue to excel on defense to completely shut down the Astros at their home field, because that happened last night in Game 2 and 1. Framber Valdez was responsible for 3 of those 4 losses that the Astros took. The only one that wasn't Justin Verlander. Right. And that loss wasn't even his fault. Nowhere even close to it.
No.
Because that was a 2-0 ball game.
Yeah, he kept his team in it. He managed the ball game. You got to be able to score some runs, and again, as I've said going into it, now we're going to the bottom fourth. It comes down to execution for me for the Houston Astros. I know I use that word, but you got Altuve and you got Yordan Alvarez. Checkmark box. We're good there. And you have Brian Abreu and you have Ryan Presley. We're good there and we agree on that side. Where's everybody else?
Yeah, everyone else. I mean, it feels like this whole game. I don't know what happened to them when they scored 2 runs each of these last 2 games and for 4 innings. Well, you're going to be at the bat, but the fact that you're down 8-2 and it's not even deep in the bottom 3 innings, this is bad.
That's very bad. And I understand how good Texas's offense is, but their bullpen can definitely be bludgeoned. There's no excuse when you're at home with all these games, an opportunity against a blood rival. Make no mistake about it. Texas and Houston, they're going to be playing each other in the AL West for years to come. And you come out like this in 4 home games. I mean, that's essentially a sweep. There really is no way to say it. I know it's a 7 game, but you beat a team all 4 times in their own ballpark, especially a team like Houston. That's crazy.
That feels like you're going a sweep at home, and to have it be at your own ballpark for these 4 games, getting swept there, even after you swept the Rangers at their ballpark for those 3 games, to put yourselves in advantage at home, and not only do you falter in a potential clinching game, but then you come out like this in Game 7. This is the most important game of your season, and you've let up 11 hits through 4 innings already. This feels like a total fantasy for the Rangers.
Yeah, it does. Everything that they've wanted to do in this series has worked. And again, when we talk about it with Mitch Garver in the interview yesterday with David Ortiz and Derek Jeter and all of that, you mentioned we're very comfortable here. Well, no doubt, because it's 8-2 in this bottom of the fourth.
And no doubt, especially now that you have Kyle Tucker at the plate now, and even though he has 2 hits in Game 5 of this series, that's not saying much because he's 3 for 22.
So here's the thing for me. When you mentioned this, Jordan Montgomery, he is back out there. He did get a inning and a third out on that side. He got one of the outs there on the third side. I was going to go for a fourth inning probably the whole way through. And then Bruce Bochy can figure out what he wants to do after that. So I mentioned that how about the middle innings would be very important. Well, now it looks like Texas is not playing around. They're going to use Jordan Montgomery to at least get through this fourth. And then we'll see maybe Martin Perez, John Gray in the 5th or 6th. And then again, you go back in the order that we talk about between Spores, Chapman, and McClurk. I think Bruce Bochy is managing this perfectly as Jordan Montgomery gets the strikeout.
You want to limit Montgomery as much as possible in this game because with how they're going, up 8-2, man, this is a perfectly managed game by Bruce Bochy, left and right, bottom line.
Yeah, you want to make sure that you use your horses that you can just to get enough and then go into your back end with the lead. This is shaping up perfectly here. And this is a situation now, as I've said, within this next 8 outs that are left before we get to the 7th. Houston's got to score about 3 runs right now. I mean, there really is no other way to say it. If they don't, this game's going to be done because I don't see any way the back end bullpen is going to turn things around and make it worse for Texas. They're up by too much. So Chas McCormick going to try to come through here. It's a 1-1 count with 1 out in the bottom of the 4th.
Chris Jung, he's done tremendously good at assembling this team to pave the road to a potential World Series berth.
I'll give you this. Again, for Scherzer, I was on the record as this one goes foul. I like the signing, but I was worried about the amount of ammunition that's already been used on his arm. Fair enough, because he is older. But the Jordan Montgomery situation from the Cardinals side and for the Yankees, that's perfect because Texas already has the offense that they do, Alec, and you know exactly what you're going to get from Montgomery. You're at least always going to get 6 solid, and it'll keep you in every game.
Definitely, because that's a great trade on Chris Young's part to bring him in.
Yeah, you need somebody that you know exactly what they're going to give you. Chas McCormick, much needed single here for the Astros, so he's been one of the names that has shown up so far. He's got a couple hits and a stolen base as we're going to begin to the next part of the order, and Jeremy Pena, who's got to come through now.
Between Montgomery and Nathan Eovaldi, they've racked up all the wins for the Rangers thus far. They're 6-0. The rest of the bullpen, not a single win. They're 0-1 on that regard. But when you look at this bullpen, the only win is Dane Dunning, and he's a starter typically.
Yeah, it's going to be by committee for everybody else, as you said. I'm glad that you called that out because 0-1 with an ERA over 9. And again, that was a lot of innings for the rest of that rotation. But if you're with Eovaldi and you're Jordan Montgomery, you're in good hands on that side. So Jeremy Pena, it's a 1-0 count. He's going to have to try to channel something from a couple of seasons ago as Jeremy, and he'll also have to keep an eye on Chas McCormick as it's 2-0.
Montgomery and Eovaldi are really looking like 1-2 punch out there for the Rangers, really stepping up in big ways. Kind of reminding you of Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola with the Phillies, even though Aaron Nola had a little clunker in Game 6.
Yes, he did, but he's going to play a big part of that as well. They can go forward 3-0 now. So Jordan Montgomery might get himself in a little bit of hot water. It's still a 6-run lead, but you do wonder if Montgomery's going to pitch more than the rest of this inning. It'll be an inning and a third should he get through the whole thing. Pena's got count leverage. You can't get too big here. A walk would do just as good. And Montgomery gets the call on a pitch that was outside, make it 3-1.
Now, I know the game's not over yet, but the Astros really need something from their World Series MVP. Not named George Springer, because Springer's over in Toronto now. Now that Pena's here, he needs to come up big and get to 2022 for him.
Jeremy Pena gets a single over the head of Marcus Semien. And maybe they'll start to run that conga line that you talked about. Houston, again, for me, they need at least one run. Give something to feel good about, maybe two at this point, the way it is. It is only the bottom of the fourth. But get something to answer back what Texas did just with 4, as now we get Andrew Heaney also warming up in the bullpen.
So Heaney, he was the starter in Game 1 against Baltimore, Game 4 against Houston. He didn't have the best of outings there, but he stepped up as a reliever, coming right off the bullpen, and boy, he did so in a big way last game.
Yes, he did. Martin Maldonado on the other end. We mentioned this in the regular season, 191, 15 home runs, 148 in the postseason. But if you hang a pitch in the middle, Maldonado can definitely hit this out as he's rocking with the no batting gloves, a little old school. So big-time story point in this game, 6 for 10 runners in scoring position for the Rangers, just 1 for 7 for the Astros. This is desperation here early as Maldonado takes a sinker at 93. It's 0-1.
Now for Maldonado, he brings the power onto his bats, but the batting average needs to be there if you're Maldonado.
Just find something and hit it hard. That's all he's worried about right now is Martin. 0-1. As Heim will get the sign there from Montgomery. It's a hanging curveball, but this will be popped up for Garcia. He's got this in right field, can't advance any of the runners, and they'll bring it back up for Jose Altuve. Question is now, do you walk him to face Bregman, or do you take your chances?
I know it's risky if you walk him because you're going to load the bases in doing so. But Alex Bregman, even though he has that solo shot, he still has a long way to go to get those batting averages up.
I know it is a risk, but I figured I would ask because I'd be very surprised if Jose Altuve doesn't score at least 1 run here. Again, you can't ask him to do much more than he's already doing, but he has been Mr. Consistency, Mr. Playoffs, and again, another first ballot block as far as everything is concerned. I don't know how you generate all that power at 5'8" the way he does, but if it's high, it's hit far. And a 79-mile-an-hour curveball. We'll see how Montgomery plays it. It's ball 1.
You know, even though Altuve, and for all the question marks around him, he's actually one of my favorite. He's actually my favorite Astro to watch throughout this time. I like seeing short guys come up big. He's around my height.
And he does everything well. I mean, this is what it is. He's just a very, very good baseball player. And it's a strike called on the outside part of the plate, make it 1-1.
Got him guessing there at bottom left corner. It's a very tough placement for a batter to go up against.
So who knows if this is Jordan Montgomery's final out to get in the bottom of the fourth, but this is a high leverage at bat. Looping curveball high, make it 2-1.
So it gives Adolis some more breathing room for that 2-1 count. But with that batting average against Montgomery's career, 3-4-19, it's been hard to come by for Adolis opposite Montgomery.
Big pitch here, 2-1. A curveball down low, good block by Heim. Make it 3-1 now.
No, a pressure situation. He's delivered in that regard very well. And historically, he's come up in the clutch in that.
So Montgomery, again, Alec threw out the numbers there. He's owned Altuve, but it's a 3-1 count. You got leverage. I would trust him to get nasty on a swing if he wants to. 3-1. Runners at first and second with 2 outs. Here's the pitch. Altuve swings. Right field side, Garcia. Underneath it, no problem. And the Texas Rangers get out of it. It's 8-2.
Good job there for the Rangers and that defense. That's what we've been emphasizing. Because of their lights-out offense, the defense doesn't get as much love. It's been among one of the top in the league, especially with how they've been doing along in the infield and on the outfield. The pitching, which has been a big question throughout this postseason, has actually been great.
Yes, it really has. Again, I know some people wouldn't use that word. I know there was one game as far as like 11-8 victory, but yeah, as far as Texas, that downfall, you lose the division in the last game of the year, but to go in, to do what they do, to start 7-0, to pitch very well against Tampa, I mean, they couldn't score any runs. Texas's pitching really has been great. It's been spearheaded by guys like Eovaldi and Montgomery.
We talk about elite pitching staffs like the Rays and the Phillies, and with Spencer Strider's season with the Braves. I didn't have the Rangers pitching staff coming up this big on my bingo card because I thought that this was going to be, say, a wild card appearance for the Rangers, and perhaps that would be it. They defied that because losing the division on the last day of the regular season seemed to have lit a fire on their eyes heading into the postseason. They seem to have got motivation from that, going on to St. Petersburg at the Tampa Bay area at Tropicana Field, and to take out the Rays in a 2-game sweep. Then you go into Baltimore at Camden Yards, sweep them there, and then knock them off at Globe Life Field. Then up against the Astros, we take them to a Game 7. This is a special Rangers team.
I want to say this honestly, from the way that it started when Texas was running away with the AL West. Look, they went through a gigantic lull where it was historically bad. Again, more blown saves than actual saves to be able to make the postseason. First time that actually happened. But Alec, it was so bad that you figured it'd have to level off at some point, and maybe the Texas just got other doldrums out of the way at the right time.
That's why you have a manager like Bruce Bochy to come up this big in the postseason when it comes to play. And you have your guys rally around him, and you deliver this product in the postseason. You go start off 7-0, even though you lose 3 straight, you find some light at the end of the tunnel. Force a Game 7, and then you come up to an 8-2 lead after 4 innings. Love this.
So I made the mention, and I know it was a funny story, but this is sports related. So last week I did go 10-4 against the spread, did pretty well. I just missed getting some money. This time I went 0-11, and if the Vikings didn't cover a 6-point spread, I could lose all of my picks. I didn't have to submit my sheet. Well, now the Vikings have a 16-7 lead against the 49ers.
So you don't get to lay a bagel. Oh, there you go.
I don't, but again, sometimes you could do so bad if you completely reverse your picks. I could be 12-1. But let's see how that one goes. Leody Taveras now will take a strike. Hector Neris is back out there, so this is what Dusty Baker is going to decide to go with before he might have to lean on Abreu and Presley. Look at the score lines way out of the way. I get you might not use some of your closers, but in a game that's no tomorrow, you got to use your best arms.
You have to use your best arms, even if it means all hands on deck. If it means using your closer, you have to have everyone available for a game like this. This is what Game 7s are about.
Maldonado will take a look as this is back down the right field line, and we'll do it again, 2-2.
So I know it's a 2-2 count, but if you strike this out, you're holding on to a comfortable lead. On paper, it will be comfortable because anything can happen. The Rangers, they saw their lead slip away against Baltimore in Game 2.
Big swing and a miss. Naris is able to try to get back on the horse here, gets the strikeout, and we will go back to the top of the order again. Question is, how much more damage will the Texas Rangers continue to do in these middle innings before we likely see some of their closers as stated? But you got Semien and Seager at least due up next.
So at least you have those two up next for the Rangers. And Semien, this could be a good turning point for him to get his numbers boosted.
First pitch, he got a good pitch to swing at, but he popped it right up to Abreu. And this will bring up Seager. He is a double away from the cycle.
Oh, the hottest man on the bat right now. Everyone wants to talk about Jordan Alvarez. How about giving some love to Corey Seager? He's been just as great, if not better, in this game.
I know no fan would take anything more than a Game 7 victory against Houston. I think everybody's going to love that. But how about it? For everybody else in the broadcast side, can we get Corey Seager a double? Let's get the cherry on top.
It would be lovely to see that double come to fruition for that complete cycle.
So 2 pitches, nowhere close, and Seager has count advantage 2-0.
I know, Seager. He walked 5 times against Baltimore in Game 2. First player ever to do so in a postseason game. He's looking to make some more postseason history.
Looks like Naris has no intent to pitch to Mr. Seager here. It's 3-0.
Feels like it's almost as like that he's intentionally trying to walk him.
Wow, he got the call there. And again, for as bad as Harris missed 3 times, I feel like Corey Seager should be on first base, but it's 3-1. He gets his chance to dig back in again. That bat looks like it's been charred and burned. There's so much pine tar on it, but it's been doing all the damage. There's the walk. So Corey Seager, he's on base for his 4th time. He's had a brilliant game.
It's an outstanding game. And we could crown him the man of the match tonight if these results hold up, because this has been an absolute drubbing by the Rangers on the Astros.
I don't want to put any of us on the spot because I feel like I know who's going to win ALCS MVP. I think you got to go with Adolis Garcia. But if you're going with one game, it'd be hard to pick against Garcia and Seager because you just can't get these guys out right now.
You can't, because this is a really legitimate 1-2 punch. And my decision, I would think Garcia will be the man that would be winning ALCS MVP.
So Carter will take it for a fastball, make it 0-2. But again, as Alec and I have gone through, I know Semien struggled a little bit. Seager, Carter, Garcia, Nathaniel Lowe, Josh Jung with multiple home runs, Taveras with some clutch at-bats. You've had 7 of 9 pretty much clicking at all times for the Rangers. Can't say that for the Astros so far. As this one slammed up in the air. Who wants it? It'll be a race for Altuve. We'll go ahead and grab it, and we go to the bottom of the 5th. Houston's got some work to do. They're down 8-2.
And a lot of them. I hope Baltimore almost came back on Texas in Game 2 of the ALCS to get it within 3 runs, but that was it for that 11-8 final score. So Houston may need to channel something similar, more execution, as when you look at the results from that game between the Rangers and Orioles, because that looked like a high-flying game.
Yeah, it definitely did. And it's kind of funny when you think about everything else. Texas has continued all of that same things, but for whatever reason, Houston, they've sputtered at times.
Whatever reason it is, whether it be several pitches that the Rangers batters like, or if it is some bad looks or some fielding errors. And speak of errors, yesterday was the first time that someone not named Framber Valdez had an error on the Astros.
Yeah, so uncharacteristic at times. Again, not always. This is a roster that is going to be very good even heading into next year. And I know we talked about it with some people that were in there for some of our broadcasts. I think some people are going to want wholesale line changes as far as this Astros team and management and things like that. But do you really want to walk away from, and again, I'll just throw the names out there, Jose Altuve, Bregman, Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, Jeremy Pena. I mean, I wouldn't. If I was on another baseball team, I'd love to have all those guys on my squad.
Yeah, I would love to have those if I were any other team in the MLB. It would be the wrong decision to move away from them.
So there will be something to be talked about, I imagine, after this is done, because it is a 6-run lead for Houston. And they have their last signs of life here in the middle innings. That's just me before things start to get out of hand. And we'll see what happens here as Jordan Montgomery looks to be back out there. Bruce Bochy said he's only going to use him for 1 inning. And it looks like that's not the case.
Feels like a complete 180 from the decision. John, this team is completely over, man. I mean, we appreciate you covering this, man. I mean, we look like we're giving up our heads tonight, dude. I mean,
yeah, it's
Dusty Baker's getting.
Go ahead.
Dusty. Dana just told Dusty, get out of here. We don't want you no more.
I know you brought that up, and again, I'm not going to discredit some of the stuff that I know that you guys have heard with the inside things, but I said it honestly about execution. Don't you put that a little bit on the side of it for Christian Javier and some of these other batters like Kyle Tucker hitting 135 or Jeremy Pena not executing or Bregman? You need some of your horses to contribute.
That's right, John. You're exactly right. I mean, you are exactly right. I mean,
but again, go ahead.
Right now, we're looking for it. We're going to be getting a new hitting coach for next year. New manager. We're clearing house. I think it starts tomorrow.
I think there's going to be something coming out, especially when the World Series starts. I don't disagree with you. We don't get to hear all those moves until that actually happens. I still think there's some linchpins on this team that you keep and that you do not move at any cost. But yeah, if you want to make some changes, make some changes. But as far as a complete enema of the organization, that's where I would completely disagree. I know you're not saying that. As Alvarez gets another hit, at least don't get rid of Yordan Alvarez.
That would be a big mistake if they move on from him, because any other team would love to have any of these players from the Astros, and for their long reputation of building championship contenders. They're still going to be there year after year after year, as long as they have Adolis, Alvarez, and all of those guys.
Yeah, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. I feel like, again, there were some pitchers that didn't get the job done today, and that's been throughout. There's been just not playing well at home this year for whatever reason from all the stuff that was already brought up from Jonathan on that, which is, I'm sure he's correct because we've heard it enough on that end. But still, you look at it, yeah, there's going to be some changes that are made, but Texas kind of ran roughshod on their bigger brother.
And historically, it'll be the Astros dominate this, but this has not been the case. The Rangers seem to be taking years of pent-up frustration out on their bigger brother.
That is well said. You can't say that any better, Alec. You nailed it. Jordan Montgomery, again, we mentioned this earlier in the broadcast, at least 1 inning. Bruce Bochy wants to go 2. And again, here's the thing for me. I don't mind the decision at all as long as Montgomery is comfortable and he looks good, because I mentioned the middle innings and how important they were going to be. Well, Bruce Bochy had to have known that too, because he's going to keep Montgomery out there before he can go to the main 3 guys he wants to use.
And could be something that we could see, because Andrew Haney and Dane Dunning are both continuing to warm up at the bullpen. We mentioned Haney before, but now Dunning is that new name that we have to bring up, because say if Montgomery gets this out, you can't bring up either one of those 2 guys for the 6th inning and the rest of this inning.
Yeah, that's really the game plan. And again, I'm not going to disrespect anything Bruce Bochy's done, because the numbers speak for themselves. He knows what to do in any type of situation, but it also helps when your team scores 8 runs.
It really does, because this Rangers team is about offense primarily, and that's been their point of emphasis. We haven't seen a lot of pitching because we don't see headlines about them, but they have delivered here between Montgomery and Evaldi.
Yeah, they have. Everybody's been hitting in complete conjunction. It's been working perfectly here for the Texas Rangers. It's really all you can say. There's Jordan Montgomery. We didn't know how much we would see of him, but he's working 30 pitches into his day right now. 2-2 is the count leverage against Abreu. He's had a good season for the Houston Astros. I know he had to percolate of late, but he's come through with some key hits, and he's still trying to stay alive. 2-2 the count.
Still a good pickup from the Chicago White Sox for Abreu.
Yeah, when you're moving on from Yulesky Gurriel and you get somebody like Abreu, that's just someone you can pencil right in.
It's like Yuli Gurriel, the perfect replacement for him once Gurriel went to Miami.
That's what they wanted to do on that side. Is it's still a 2-2 pitch. Montgomery curveball. Abreu will give this one a ride, but just shy of the warning track. Garcia underneath it makes the catch.
That's one of the easiest catches that Garcia had to make in this game.
And we know he's capable of some extravagant ones. We've seen it from Kyle Tucker on the Houston side. Leody Taveras catch, that'll be something that we won't forget, whether it's in a win or a loss. But all that remains to be said now is how many outs would be left for Houston at this point. In Texas, they've never won a World Series. It wasn't that long ago since they went to one, but it feels like, Alec, they could be 12 outs away here, doing the rough math on that side of it, that they could go to the World Series. Brantley splits it down the middle. Seager tosses it over. And Montgomery, man, he's been great out of this bullpen. As Houston's turned away after 5, it's 8-2.
It's not an ideal scenario of putting Montgomery out of the bullpen in, but so far it's working. Now the big question is, who do you turn to? Do you keep Montgomery on the mound, or do you put someone else in? Because if I agree with Bochy, I want to save Montgomery's arm for as much as possible and get able to win the World Series.
For me, Alec, I'm going to go ahead, either go Heaney or Dunning for one more inning, and then I'm still going to use the same leverage of Spores, Chapman, and Leclerc.
And they can hold up big in these situations. They've elevated their games come postseason, and then you bring up Spores for the 7th, Chapman the 8th. See how long he can go, because you don't want to exhaust Chapman's arm with that flamethrower, or should I say the Cuban flamethrower, and then put a Leclerc in for the rest of the way, because this game has pretty much been secured. It's not about if the Rangers can hold on to win, unless if something pops up in a Seattle Mariners style comeback. It's about how many runs the Rangers can score.
Yeah, that's what it feels like now. And I know some people will disagree with me as far as what the score line and whether or not you should use some of the top relievers. It's a Game 7, and the World Series doesn't start until Friday, so I'm not taking any chances. You still roll with the usual 7, 8, 9 that have got Texas to this point on top of all of their offense, and we'll see right now whether it'll be Dane Dunning or Heaney or anyone else, and I'll give you the update once we see that across. Right now, I see Brian Abreu is out there for the Houston Astros. That's what the ESPN side is going to be showing. So, again, that 2-game suspension, that'll be upheld in 2024 at the start of the season. I don't think Brian Abreu expected to come on the mound down 8-2, but these are big innings now. You might have to go Abreu 2 innings, Presley 2 innings. Absolutely can't give up any more runs.
You can't, not in these situations, because you need to use your best bullpen arms in these situations. Have Abreu for 6 and 7, then Presley in 8 and 9. Those are your 2 best guys coming out of the bullpen. I'll be back, Sean.
Okay. So I appreciate it. Alex going to go ahead and take a break. I'll just go ahead and give you any of the leverage counts or anything else that was here today. We'll just give you the NLCS reset that he covered. So Arizona 5-1 winners against the Philadelphia Phillies. It's going to set up a Game 7 for us tomorrow, about the 8:07 start time. TBS again, Merrill Kelly, 5 innings, 3 hits, 4 earned run, 8 strikeouts. He was brilliant. Aaron Nola takes the loss, the first in the postseason, 4 1/3, 6 hits, 4 runs, 4 strikeouts. On that side, Ketel Marte had an excellent game, drove in a couple runs, back-to-back home runs from Tommy Pham and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Got the party started as Arizona had a 3-0 lead in the second inning, and they didn't look back as they won 5-1. So Adolis Garcia, grand cut against Brian Abreu, who was the new pitcher. He'd set the dig in 0-1 the count. First player in MLB history with a home run and 3+ RBIs in 3 consecutive postseason games. That just doesn't happen off the drop of a hat for somebody even as good as him. That is an absolute amount of locked in Brian Abreu, again, had a run scored against him, which hadn't been over about half of a year at this point. But again, he's one of the best arms in the bullpen, period. Not even just for the Houston Astros. As this is shoveled up into the air to Jose Abreu. He's underneath it. He's got it for 1 out in the top of the 6th.
All right, I'm back. Any other team for Brian Abreu, you will be the team's closer. Well, that's how good he has been for the Astros. You can turn to one of these two guys between him and Ryan Presley, and you would not be wrong to close out a game.
No, and even if you're in a situation for the Astros when eventually Ryan Presley's done, if Brian Abreu is still on the roster, he's the closer of the future for this team. Again, he's got 100. He's got a bunch of different pitches. He just looks really good.
And he has been.
So 1-0, 98 miles an hour. As we're getting some of the reports there for Ken Rosenthal. Again, that was the situation from Adolis Garcia that give the 2-game suspension. As this is inside and hits Garver.
Oh, hello. Do you remember that hit from Adolis Garcia in Game 5 that led to the bench clearing incident? That looked like it was hitting the rib cage of Garver.
Yeah, we're hoping nothing got cracked there because I'm not even joking. That was a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, and we're not seeing Garver move at all. So he definitely got hurt by that one.
Yeah, he got stung by it.
Oh, man.
Imagine, Bruce Bochy's going to check in to look at him because that was a bullet. You don't want to take those fastballs up high. Anytime you can you want to dodge out the way to get there, and that really looked like it stung.
I gotta tell you, my TV's not that loud because I know we want to do our broadcast. I don't want to get interference for all of our sides, but that one was loud. Contact against the right side of the rib cage there, and that might even give you some X-ray side of it when it's all said and done because we've had that happen. I know no broken sternum situation for Matthew Tkachuk in the Florida Panthers, but I do remember he played through something like that. Anything with your rib cage, it'll hurt to breathe.
Those injuries are no joke. The Matthew Tkachuk, the broken sternum, especially all those injuries left and right between the Panthers and the Golden Knights in that Stanley Cup final. There's an Aaron Ekblad, Brandon Montour, those shoulders, and Sam Bennett as well, his injury. Those are no joke.
No, they're not. When you get plugged with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball that Abreu's featuring, that's why we bring it up. I kind of had the same thoughts for Garver because he stood there for quite a while, and for good reason. He got absolutely plugged by the fastball there. So he's going to take a painful walk to first base, and then we'll go ahead to the next part of the order here for Jonah Heim. And for Jonah Heim, I mentioned this over the last couple of seasons. He was a guy that always played diamond caliber level defense, but now he's brought his bat to the party this year and gave him the All-Star nod. Here's a good swing, but this one's fouled on the right field line, and we'll do it again.
And a good nod for Heim and getting that offense sparking because this is what the style of play that a Bruce Bochy managed team would go after. Remember those years with the Giants, that one year with the Padres in '98. Bochy's trying to make it back to the World Series for the 5th time and win it here with his second different team.
I want to say this, and I know he's a Hall of Famer, but you mentioned it, and the light bulb just went off my head. It should have went off before that. But Jonah Heim is kind of playing that Buster Posey role.
He has been.
When you can hit like that, and you can already do what Buster did offensively, now Jonah Heim is starting to bring that to the party. So I don't know why I just thought of that now, but again, I'm not the smartest guy in the room. As this is picked up here with a curveball, that's a good pitch for Abreu. That's a deadly slider, and that's on the black, and Heim's punched out.
So something of note if the Astros were to carry some momentum onto next year, though we should note again, the question of if Alex Bregman is going to be here next year.
That's what I heard everybody talk about on that side. Again, Carlos Correa went to greener pastures, and I'm sure, I know he didn't win this series against the Houston Astros, but he loved to hit against his former team. As Minnesota probably plays in the easiest division in all of baseball, but if anyone picks up Alex Bregman, he can be a frontline piece in the offseason, make no mistake about it. Nathaniel Lowe waiting on the 1-0. Big cut there on a slider, but he comes up empty, 1-1.
Sometimes you take chances on breaking balls. Sometimes it can bite you. Those are tough pitches to go up against.
Well, when you're featuring a 99-mile-an-hour fastball that can get into triple digits, and you got a deadly off-speed curveball slider, you can see why Abreu can be absolutely nasty. even though the run scored against streak did snap a couple games ago. Abreu really is this good as far as being in relief pitching. You do see Josh Spores in the camera cut. He's getting loose. It's 3-1 against Lowe.
So you know about Nathaniel Lowe. He can. Yep.
3-1 pitch, Nathaniel Lowe. He's got count leverage against Abreu. Cannot let the runs get any worse here. Big swing. This one, right field line. Tucker jumps, and he can't get it. It's a 2-run shot for Nathaniel Lowe. Make it 10-2.
Just slid right by the tips of the catching glove. And a great look for Nathaniel Lowe, who needed this one because with how Lowe has been doing this postseason, the numbers haven't been there. You can say that he will be due for a breakthrough. Here it is.
Man, that just missed the top of Tucker's glove as he almost made another fantastic catch.
I mean, that would have been another one for Kyle Tucker, who can bring it in on the defensive side. But on the offensive side, for as good as he was in the regular season, it's just not been there in the postseason.
Well, I know Jonathan said this as far as guest speaker side for the Twitter and X space, and glad to bring you on there on that side and join in and listen. As we're calling this, you called it over earlier. Well, I'll call it over now. Again, I know 8 runs is a lot, but when you see Brian Abreu get stung for a 2-run jack, there really is no one else you can bring out at this point. Hell, you can't even make the argument to bring out Ryan Presley anymore.
I mean, this game may be over, and I feel it's coming that way because, boy, this has been an absolute blast.
Yes, it has been. And again, the one thing I should apologize to you, Alec. Again, it's been a few days since we did the broadcast for the Philadelphia Phillies and Arizona Diamondbacks, but it seems every time I do a baseball game, it's not even close.
It's not even. The Rangers, they can just take this to Arlington and ride it all the way home.
So hopefully I don't bring that same type of luck when we start Friday on the World Series side. I would like to cover a competitive game. It seems like maybe all that stuff is going to be leveraged for the hockey side. There really isn't much for me to talk about as far as other of the sports today because there really isn't much else on. The Montreal Canadiens do get a 3-1 victory over the Buffalo Sabres. Boy, have they scuffled to start the year. They are 2-4 now. I did not expect that. So it was Justin Barron from Arbor Jackeye and Sean Monahan. Jeff Skinner on the power play, tied it up from Cousins and Rasmus Dahlin. Nothing in the second, but Brandon Gallagher and Tanner Pearson take it home for the Canadiens. So Eric Comrie got the start. He stopped 27 on 24, 25-27 a loss. And Jake Allen, who I'll say this honestly, I understand he's not Carey Price, but there are some games where Jake Allen, to me, he can look absolutely really good. He stops 36 out of 37 in the victory.
That's a Carey Price-esque performance from Jake Allen. You think back to Allen's St. Louis Blues prime days, back when he was there, say, 2017 vintage for Jake Allen, because he's looked that great.
Yeah, he has. He's been good since he's been in a Montreal uniform. And again, they're in the midst of a rebuild. So, like you talk about with Reimer when you joined me there yesterday, I understand the Red Wings aren't a great defense either, but when you go from the Sharks to that, and then you Jake Allen, and you go from the Blues to the Canadiens, you're expecting probably giving up a few more goals, but I think he's held his own.
And he has held his own. And we could see something going for Montreal tomorrow when they turn to Sam Montembeault and Allen's part. He's played his part. And for Montembeault, we'll see how he follows up because for the Canadiens, it's goaltender by committee right now because they're carrying 3 goalies between Allen, Montembeault, and Caden Primo.
So I know that normally we wouldn't do this, but the score line is already way out of hand. But on the Tuesday side, if it gets to that, we will probably have to go back to the hockey side and talk about some of it. The Red Wings do have a big game upcoming against the Seattle Kraken, who have really struggled to start the year. They're at LCA, but the Kraken are 1-4-1, taking on a Red Wings team that, quite frankly, looked like Seattle did last year.
And another thing of note, 16 games tomorrow. So, Frozen Frenzy on ESPN, and My Penguins, they take on the Dallas Stars at 7:30. Every game starts all the games start at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific.
Yeah, so we'll have a full scoreboard for you tomorrow as far as the NLCS Game 7 as well. Alec and I hope, in all honesty, we get a game that is much more competitive than the ones that he's joined me on the cast on. Because, again, my apologies, my friend, I can't control this right now, but I really did not expect Houston to get the barn doors blown off like this.
That was not on my bingo card. You would expect this to be a 10-2 game in favor of the Rangers. You'd expect a more competitive game. Say perhaps Game 7 between the Yankees and Red Sox 2003. That went to 11 innings.
Yeah, and now Houston, I understand some of the things, and Alec and I had heard some of it from the Twitter space and the YouTube side. And look, we'll be honest with you and say I don't think Houston needs to make a bunch of wholesale changes. But whatever it is, batter's eye, anything else at Minute Maid, there's something that's got to be changed there for Houston because there is no excuse for the personnel they have to struggle as much as they did. Here's a shot center field, but this will be picked up by Taveras. But they've just had no answers in their home ballpark. It's not just been in the playoffs, it's been all year.
And it's been going on all season long, no matter what it's been. There's just something that's going on at home. It's just getting the Astros off their hook. For all they've done at the road, they can only do so much road magic.
Yeah, you can't continue to play everything else on the road. I mean, you won the division, and again, I'm half jokingly when I say this, maybe they should have been the ones that lost it on the final day, and maybe they could have had the reverse result or the reverse jinx.
Perhaps. Well, who knows?
So Josh Spores is pitching now in the 6th. Chas McCormick, one of the only other Astros besides Jose Altuve, has shown up to play here today. Chas McCormick will put this one on the right field side, and Garcia underneath it makes the catch.
The Rangers continuing the best performance of the year that they have been putting up, not only on the offensive side, but they're showing their defensive prowess. With Josh Spores stepping up his game as the season wore along, earning more and more the trust of Bruce Bochy. And in Bochy's side, his circle of trust seems very small, but more and more he's trusting Spores to pick up the pace here.
If Texas does win the World Series, they're going to make a statue for Bruce Bochy.
And not only outside Arlington, but perhaps also the Giants outside Oracle. They got to make a statue for him there as well.
Yeah, he's going to get 2 different busts, and as he should. And I wish I could have had him in Detroit, my goodness, even though I love Jim Leland. But when we went to the Brad Austin side of it, all I could do was cry because I just knew it wasn't going to work out. But now you got Jeremy Pena against Spores. And look, we'll be honest with you, and I'll be completely honest. I expected the Philadelphia Phillies to be in the World Series, and maybe the Arizona Diamondbacks will change that. But if Texas goes on to beat the Phillies, who have the 2 best starters really left, but Jordan Montgomery can also argue that, and so can Evaldi because they've been just pitching so well. I can't wait to see what happens in the World Series. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you one way or the other that I want the Phillies or the Diamondbacks to win because whoever wins it should be the one to get in. But there is definitely a matchup that I want to watch.
It is, because these 2 pitching staffs, they've been really doing it throughout this series between the Phillies and Diamondbacks. They're so calm, cool, and collected, no matter who it is.
Yes, they are. It's going to be tapped right back to the mound. Pena is out, and the Rangers are 9 outs away from going to the World Series. This kind of feels like the Vegas Golden Knights victory lap.
It very simply does, and it took me back to that because this feels like the victory lap indeed for the Vegas Golden Knights. Just goals aplenty in that game, and in this case, it is runs aplenty because it's now double digits thanks to Nathaniel Lowe.
Again, that's another at bat, as you pointed out, that was big to see get going. I mean, everybody else has been hitting. Nathaniel Lowe's been good. He's been drawing some walks and things, but Josh Jung was carrying it up in the bottom of the order. But for the rest of it, there really isn't anything that I can complain about for the Rangers. Again, we talked about in the regular season bullpen issues and concerns. Well, that's been corrected, as Alex said, throughout the postseason. Everybody has continued to hit as they've done throughout the year. Scherzer's healthy now, and he'll make more of an impact, especially as we get into the World Series. Look, I understand again today he didn't have the outing that he wanted, but again, it was an improvement for last time. 2 2/3 inning, 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 strikeouts. He didn't let the game get completely away. Jordan Montgomery pitched pretty much the same that Scherzer did. He went 2 1/3, 3 hits, 1 strikeout, no runs. And Josh Sports, a scoreless inning so far. You look at it the other way, though, Alec, for the Astros, anything but.
Anything but productive for the Astros. And if they're going to go out like this, it may be a really downtrodden end that we were looking with. It's noted that great teams don't go out with a bang; they go out with a whimper at times. And if this is the end, if this goes for the end for the Astros this season, it's going out with not just a whimper. That would be an understatement for that. It's going down with a plunge.
Yeah, again, I use the word unmitigated disaster from the way that it started in this game, but that certainly feels that way. I understand with the Astros, the couple World Series they had over several years, multiple times in the ALCS. Nothing to be taken away from that, but again, you don't expect the team to just get pasted in their home ballpark so many times. But in the offseason, regardless of the changes that are made, I can tell you one thing that can be fixed for the Houston Astros. They got to find some starting pitching.
They got it because the only quality pitcher that they have right now is Justin Verlander, and he's in his 40s.
Right.
So last year, you think of the guys that are up there, Christian Javier, Framber Valdez, they had it actually really good. This year, it's been a complete opposite.
Right. And like you said, for Framber Valdez, he was flat out unhittable last year at times. And I don't know what happened with Framber, but as you said, he's got to find it. I know what they got in the back end bullpen, not worried there. And the offense, I would imagine you can get hot and cold. Bregman, Tucker, they'll turn it around. But starting pitching has got to be the answer. So Martin Maldonado, this might be waving the white flag, even though I know Yonder Diaz is a much better hitter, but he's going to do the rest of the catching duties as Jose Urquidy is going to get some time as a starter.
So he's going to come off the bullpen with Urquidy and for Yonder Diaz, even though he's a better hitter. Maldonado, he can handle the catching duties really good. But for Diaz, I feel this may be a spark of offense if they were to get something for pride heading into next year.
Yeah, that's what it is for Diaz. And we know for Maldonado, his days in the MLB might be done at some point because he's getting up there in age. And they know Diaz will be the catcher of the future who can actually really bash the heck out of the baseball.
25 years old, he can really slash it out. Though for the rest of this game, he's going to take over catching duties. Perhaps Dusty Baker wants to have him at a look on defense.
That too, you're gonna have to improve on all that stuff going forward. You can't just be a one-trick pony and getting all the hits. Bruce Bochy, man, again, for me, it would just be gum and sunflower seeds. I don't know how this guy continues to do it. And I understand the players have to execute. They didn't do it on the Houston side, but it's got to feel good to have a lead like this and just, like we said, victory lap, and knowing that as long as there isn't a complete meltdown, Texas is going to find their way into the World Series. They've been there with the final strike against the Cardinals. That didn't work out when they had Yu Darvish and all of that. They had some talented teams with Nelson Cruz, whose record was just broken by Adolis Garcia with postseason RBIs in consecutive games. But I can't tell you if this is the best team that Texas has ever had as a whole, but I can tell you this is the best offense that they've ever had.
Perhaps I can say something like this. It's time for the Rangers. If this is a team that they're putting up heading into the World Series, I think their time may be coming.
Yeah, I think you can't say it any better. Corey Seager, they finally get him out, but it's 10-2, and Houston's down to their final outs here, final 9 outs.
I know in the meantime, the Vikings are up 22-14 in the fourth quarter on the San Francisco 49ers. I figured this would be a little bit of a trap game, even though the Vikings don't have Justin Jefferson, because no Evo Samuel. The 49ers have a little bit of rust heading into this game because they have all these banged up bodies. Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams, Dre Greenlaw. They're visibly hurt. So this may be something that going down this much.
So something that I actually got correct. You know what, Alec? I almost wish I went bagels because it'd be funny.
And you think of tomorrow, I know much of our talk is about Game 7 between the Phillies and D-backs. We also have to start the NBA regular season, which starts out with the Nuggets starting their title defense on the LA Lakers, a rematch of the Western Conference Final, which actually was competitive despite the result of a sweep. And then Chris Paul, his Warriors debut, he looks to get his ring and finally his wish of getting a championship against his former team, the Suns.
I'm going to tell you honestly, I don't know how that's going to work. I'm not sure with Chris Paul and the Warriors.
And because the Warriors already have Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green sets of that starting five. The question is, where are you going to put Chris Paul? You put him in the starting five and move Curry to two and force a small ball lineup? Or are you going to get CP3 off the bench and have Kevon Looney starting at his usual position at center?
For me, and it was funny because when they signed him in there and they talk about it, Chris Paul was like, "What do you mean I'm not starting?" And I'm thinking, what do you mean you don't think you're coming off the bench? You're already that long in the tooth. We know Chris Paul wants to get one. We know he's going to be a Hall of Fame guard. But you got to start Chris Paul off the bench, and you still got to go with Steph and Klay to me.
Yeah, you got to get the splash brothers out on the court to start things off. Then you can go mix and match left and right. That's when you can get things interesting. You put in Chris Paul in some part. You put in Donovan Kuminga, Moses Moody, any of the young guys over there.
Right. Yeah, I think there are some pieces. I know some fans will get frustrated with Kuminga because he's young. Again, they moved on from James Wiseman, who's now a member of the Pistons. Again, he was a big pick. He was the number 2 pick on that side. But there's a lot of pieces and some hot and cold. Again, for the Warriors, you might be able to win a championship, then come back, sneak it up, get a high pick, mix in the timelines between, whether you think you can win a championship. But Curry's best days at some point are going to be behind him. It's championship or bust for the Warriors.
And if you want to get ring number 5 in this dynasty, you want to have everything. You got to leave all the marbles on the table. It's no longer those times where you have to rebuild. You cannot rebuild and contend for a championship at the same time. It doesn't work like that.
Right. And I think that was a good job by management to get that timeline correct. So again, I know this game's a formality, but I will just still call it alongside with Alec, as this is caught up from Yonder Diaz. Spore's going to probably give 2 innings of work here. So as we said, Bruce Bochy's not messing around, as I would expect. He was going to use his best arms, make sure to lock and key this game. And who knows, this could be Jose Altuve's final bat of the season.
It may be not what he was anticipating, because this Astros team, with this dynasty of 7 straight ALCS appearances, they may shoot for 8 next year if they want to get everything around. I know other fans, they want to look for parity, and he wants some new faces up here. Glad we have that with the Rangers.
Yeah, we do, and I'll take the step because I know you're not taking the bait, but I'll go ahead and take the bait and use it on myself. I think a lot of people will be happy just to not see the Astros anymore.
I know, because everyone wants to talk about cheating scandals left and right, but I want to say, even though my opinion on the Astros is a bit conflicting because of that, I respect what they put up here all this time. Between the 2 GMs that they've had, Jeff Luhnow, the previous one, before the cheating scandals. This Astros team, even though I have a conflicting viewpoint, they have my respect.
Yeah, when you do the things that they've done and they've been so consistent, they've been a well-run organization and missed everything. Again, it was hard for me to say at the time when the Astros won the World Series and I was on the call. It was hard to stomach, admittedly, with all the things that happened. But now, when you look back at it and you have it with the granular outlook in sight, and you say, yeah, this team's been good. They've been consistent all year long. all season long for multiple seasons, multiple star players, in and out. Everybody's contributing. You'd be lucky if you're any other organization to say that you've had 6 straight trips to the ALCS.
Now 7 this year.
7, thank you. So they're trying to go to the World Series, but that doesn't look like that's going to happen this year. But again, thank you for the correction, as this is picked up now and tossed over to first from Jung, and Altuve is out. And again, you're down to the final 7 outs for the Houston Astros. Again, 6-1 at home in 2022 with 4.7 runs, and that's why it doesn't make sense, because in 2023 they're about to be 1-5.
It doesn't make any sense, because normally you would have home field advantage, but this series feels like a total exclamation of road field advantage. How?
Just it's one of those things I don't think can be explained. Again, we're not psychics here, but I mean, even psychics would have a hard time trying to figure this out. It's more of a player sports psychology type thing, maybe. Maybe they're just not comfortable, or you're just feeling the pressure from some of the fans. But it just doesn't seem like that should be possible, considering the personnel on this team. 1-1, the count against Bregman as Spores tries to get through 2 scoreless. And some of these at bats so far, even though Bregman takes the ball, I'm sensing the moment right now that the Astros players even think it's probably over.
It feels like it may be over for them, but by the looks of their faces, you can start to see the defeat expression settling in. We saw Justin Verlander on the camera. Man, he wanted to get back to that World Series badly.
Yes, he did. For me, I'm just hoping he doesn't retire as a Houston Astro. He's been along over the Tigers, even though he's won with the Astros. They brought him back for that reason. And he's not even going to get an opportunity to pitch at this point, considering what the score line is. Bregman waiting on the 3-2. He's trying to keep this alive. Again, every out means everything right now. You don't get those back, even though the score line looks way out of reach. Bregman, he grooves one. Is this going to split the gap? So he's got a home run. He's got at least a double now. So Bregman's at least showed signs of life in this game.
And with this and the back-to-back outings and back-to-back champions, we have not seen a back-to-back champion in the MLB since the New York Yankees dynasty, when they won 3 straight from 98 to Y2K. And it seems like that's still going to hold up.
Yes, it does. And when I look on the other side again, I know we like hockey as much as we do. When I see the Lightning, I think those best days are behind them as well.
And it seems to be increasingly likely, especially the goaltender situation. If Andrei Vasilevsky out for the first 2 months of this year, now you have to rely on Jonas Johansson and Matt Tompkins as your 2 goalies. That may spell certain trouble, because Johansson and Tompkins are not Vasilevsky. Neither are they Ben Bishop, the goalie before Vasilevsky. But Vasilevsky, for him to miss the first 2 months of this year, you'd imagine that he would be coming out on fire if he were to come back. But how healthy will he be when he comes back?
Yeah, that's the thing. He's going to have to work off the rust and get into game shape on top of that. So even with the 2 months' time at least, I don't think you can afford to rush the big cat back into the crease, because he's still the goaltender of the future. But I think for Vasilevsky, as much as the back surgery and everything else isn't fun, at least he finally gets some time off, because I know they had Brian Elliott for years, but he never played in the postseason. It was Andrei Vasilevsky the whole way.
It was the entire way for Vasilevsky, because for the Lightning, it's Vasilevsky or bust if you want to go to your goaltending. And for Brian Elliott, it's basically been a mixed bag, much like Curtis McElhinney before him at backup goaltender.
Yeah.
But Elliott, he was all right in 2022. But 2023 is when age started to kick in.
I'm not making this comparison just to be funny, but it does kind of feel like when you had Andrei Vasilevsky, if you're the backup goaltender for the Lightning, whoever it is, you kind of feel like Dan Orlovsky now, who does ESPN work when he worked with Matthew Stafford. You knew he was never coming in.
And basically, he's the backup quarterback with the Detroit Lions back then. And then with Matthew Stafford, it's basically him or bust, because Stafford is usually going to play no matter what injury that he's been through left and right. And last year, he sat out for an extended time. The first time in a while that's ever happened. And then you go over to Bryce Perkins and You're back to John Wolford, even Baker Mayfield for some time, who got claimed off waivers from the Panthers, and he revitalized his career with the Rams. And that earned him the contract with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which I'm happy for him back then. But there was Stafford. It's him or bust if you have him.
Yeah, it is, and sometimes that happens with the franchise side of it. Again, Texas is well on their way right now. It's been a formality for a long time, and it's felt like that victory lap, as we talked about. But Bruce Bochy's not letting his foot off the gas because he's bringing in the Cuban Missile here and Aroldis Chapman. He's going to get some time to get some outs.
So even though the game is pretty much over by this point, we get to see the Cuban Missile get to throw those flamethrowers. Even though he has consistency issues as the point assist throughout his career, he's still one of the most exciting relievers to watch.
Yes, he is. And for me, get to watch him against Yordan Alvarez, power on power. Again, we'll get to see this matchup. It'll be glued to this regardless of the scoreline, and 100 followed straight back.
Oh, and I love to see him throw those 100-mile-an-hour fastballs.
We'll see how much Chapman goes in the tank here. But again, for Bruce Bochy, he's kind of throwing the nails in the coffin here against the Houston Astros, using all the best relievers. But you know what? Bruce, go get it. You want to get this team in the World Series, that's what you got to do. 0-1. 101, and Alvarez hits it like it's nothing. That's going to score a run.
It just doesn't matter what type of throw that you throw at Yordan Alvarez. He's just going to take a chance at it. It's like, I'm going to swing at that every time, and it's going to pay off no matter what.
This is yet another pitch. This one's down. The other one was in the bottom right corner down for about 6 inches. And he'll just stay with it and drive it right back against the defense. I mean, Alvarez has absolutely been insane. And if the rest of his team could even pick up things marginally, this would have been a contest. Abreu at 101. He offers it the first. It'll be an easy toss over. So Chapman does surrender one to Alvarez. What else is new on that side? But it's only 10-3.
And just one RBI, but just not a lot of damage there. Because if you have a significant lead, 10-2, and you get you have an RBI, 10-3. Not a lot of change on that scoreline. You're still having a comfortable lead heading into this 8th inning. And then you get that final out, and a much-needed one, because there you have it. 2 more innings until the Rangers can say World Series.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun for their fans. And again, I mentioned this. I couldn't call it right away because I wasn't sure in between the National League side. But I took the Rangers to go to the World Series when the playoffs started, not in the regular season, because I'm not that smart on that side. But in the postseason, we've seen the offense enough, so I'll take them to go to the World Series. But in the NL, I was immediately conflicted in between the Braves and Phillies because I just didn't know. And the Phillies had the pitching. They find their way a game to the World Series, but the Diamondbacks are fighting with everything that they have. But again, as Alec and I talked about with Texas, I don't think they care who they play at this point. Good luck trying to get anybody in this order out. And if their pitching continues to hold enough as it is, and their top-end bullpen arms continue to perform, as Alex said, this might be the Rangers' time.
It is.
So tomorrow we will hope for a closer game, nonetheless, on that side. Again, when we go across it, it is on that, and so it should be a good pitching matchup. And good for when he's been out there. I'm sure the Phillies fans are shocked to have this lineup be where it is as far as a 3-3 scoreline to see who goes to the World Series. But Philadelphia, I'll still give them the edge tomorrow, but I will say that this game is going to be a heck of a lot closer because I hope it just has to be.
Yeah, because between that pitching matchup, it's basically very tight. You don't know who's going to have an advantage because those are your number 3 guys, Suarez and Pott. And it may turn into a bullpen game if things turn ugly. Game 4 was exactly a bullpen game where Christopher Sanchez and Joe Mantiply, they were pulled after a short outing. Perhaps this may be the direction that both teams could go unless Spot has a really nice outing, which I think could happen.
Yeah, I'll be interested to watch because it'll be the first time that I get to see him this year. and it's going to be in the biggest game of all, a chance to go to the World Series. And anyone that had the Diamondbacks with an opportunity to go in the World Series, I hope you get to cash in your ticket, because to be able to go through the Brewers and the Dodgers and possibly the Phillies, I don't think that road gets much harder as far as the pitching that they went up against.
It doesn't get that much harder. If you're either one of these pitchers, could be something of offense left and right, but we said the same thing here, so there's no guarantee it will happen.
Nope, not in the Game 7. So well, the guarantee now in this game is probably a 10-3, and we'll see how much Texas is going to add on to. But again, they're 6 outs away from the World Series. You know what? Honestly, at this point in this game, I feel like they should just give the final 6 outs to the Astros and finish it, because Texas, I think they're already going to have a hold of this. They're just going to make us wait a little bit longer.
And it feels that way, just delaying the inevitable, because the Rangers have as comfortable as it can get of a lead.
So Jose Urquidy is up ahead 0-2 against Evan Carter. It'll be 3-4-5. As this will go in between the legs of Urquidy, but no problem for Altuve. They'll toss this one over to Abreu. That'll bring up Adolis Garcia. Again, don't boo Adolis. He might do it again.
Between however many fans are in attendance, don't even think about it.
And they're not listening to us, Alec, on this side. They are still raining the course of boos, and I just don't understand why. Again, the rest of the Texas offense has been doing the job. They did finally get him out in his last plate appearance, but 3 hits and scoring runs all over the place. And now a curveball on the left field side. This is at the wall. It is gone. Garcia is possessed.
And he's a man of his word. He's a man that can keep his word. The home run leader for the Rangers, striking again. This man, you can say he may be the ALCS MVP with how he's been playing. And the celebration has just started over at the dugout.
Give it to him right now, as far as I'm concerned, Alec, on that. So if you're looking at your ALCS MVP, and he is all sorts of fired up as he gets the high fives in through the line, man, that's got to feel good to absolutely just carry your team to the World Series. And I understand he wasn't the only one that's done it, but this guy looks like a cheat code.
How else can you explain that he's 5 for his last 6 at-bats with 3 home runs? Ever since that scuffle with Brian Abreu Maldonado in Game 5, he is a man that is possessed.
I don't even know what else to say. 5 for 6, 3 bombs, 9 RBI, and 4 runs scored in your last 6 at-bats. That is just otherworldly, as Travis Jankowski now will get some time, because you might as well empty the bench here if you're Bruce Bochy, because everybody's done the job. It's not just been one player on the Texas Rangers. They've been consistent all year, and they have been excellent. Jankowski can split the gap. It's a base hit against Brantley as he picks it up and throws it in.
Now is the time where you can get everyone else right at the bat. Bring in Jankowski, bring in Robbie Grossman, bring in Josh Smith. Hey, bring in Austin Hedges for some action. Love to see that for former Pittsburgh Pirates.
Do it all. That's all that's need to be left now as the party continues to be added on. Normally, some people would look at this. I'm not one of them, and I'm not accusing it, as this is a change-up that gets put up high and be picked up by Altuve. Normally, would say call off the dogs, but in a series like this, in between Texas and Houston, that's gotten as heated as it is, you know that Texas is feeling themselves, Alec, and they're very happy to add on runs against the Houston Astros.
This is as complete as a game as it can get. From the offensive side to the defensive side, and the only fans that are chanting here are the Rangers fans in attendance. The ones who made the trip from the DFW Metroplex. The ones who drove down from I-45. They're the ones happy now, celebrating, wearing their sombreros.
Yeah, that's got to feel so good knowing that you're already up ahead. You can celebrate the whole time. You know what's out in front of you. I'm not seeing very many Houston Astros fans anymore as they're leaving with disgust. It's been overtaken by the Texas Rangers, and this was not a close game, Alec, but throughout this entire series, we knew we were going to be in for something special. This game might not have been as epic as we would have liked, but this has been an epic series nonetheless.
I would say that Game 5 was the climax of the series
Yes.
and the most dramatic because of the back and forth tilts between them and the Houston Astros spots that this would have been the game that would have sent them to somewhere on a high note in these two games. But then you leave two clunkers in Game 6 and 7. And Game 7, because it was over just before the final 3 innings happened.
That's really, I know we talked about it throughout the broadcast, but I will never forget this in the back of my mind that if you're Houston, how do you seemingly not show up in games 6 and 7? Again, 3 runs, that would seem like enough in certain games if you have the high end pitching, but 3 runs is never enough when you're playing a team like Texas.
It really never is because everyone knows about this high-powered offense on the Rangers side. If you can't match them, Lord help you.
Yeah, there really is nothing else to say on that side. Good luck, because I don't care how many of the top-end arms that you're going to go up against, Texas is going to embarrass you and score runs, and that's what they've been able to do pretty much all season. Any bullpen woes aside, those have seemingly gone away for the most part in the postseason as Lowe takes a big swing and a miss. But more damage is done, courtesy of Adolis Garcia. He says, bring on the booze and I'll bring you another home run.
Bring up the booze, I'll bring the fire, the thunder, the lightning, the everything.
And I said booze. I meant that B-O-O-S on that side. They might mean B-O-O-S-E for the Astros. So we're going to be going to the bottom 8. They're down to 6 outs, but this game is already over. If there is any sort of situation that Houston comes all the way back, then you can make fun of me and send all the stuff to the emails on my side. But nope, this game is done. Sometimes we have ones like this. We'll see who Bruce Bochy wants to throw back out there. I wouldn't have any problem giving Chapman another inning, and then you just finish it out however you want to. But, I mean, man, this is a bloodletting type of game. Texas gave everything to Houston. They did not respond in their home ballpark. I know people talked about that in the regular season, but to see it happen in the postseason with the types of players that Houston has, when you think about Altuve, who was great, Alvarez, who was great, Abreu, who was clutch at times, but in between Bregman, Brantley, Tucker, McCormick, Pena, I just didn't see enough throughout the whole series.
And I like to think that there's something a little personal on the mind of Corey Seager because his Dodgers were on the losing end of the 2017 World Series. Now he's getting his revenge on the Astros 6 years later.
That's a great call by you, Alec. I don't even want to say that I forgot about that, but that was in the midst of the scandal when that happened to on both sides, the Red Sox and the Astros. So this really does have to feel good for Corey Seager.
Finally, get your revenge on the team that you lost to 6 years ago at the World Series on your field, and now everything's coming full circle for Corey Seager, and everything coming full circle for Bruce Bochy and company.
Again, my apologies if I go a little bit silent on this side. It's not just saving the pipes at this point for tomorrow, but I think Alec and I have hit every single thing that we could hit in this broadcast, and we've had another game like our 10-0 last time. Now it's 11-3, and there just isn't much more to say. We're just waiting for these commercial breaks to end and these final outs to be called because Texas is going to make their way to the World Series, and they should. They're going to have home field advantage to start it because the Philadelphia Phillies were a wild card team, and the Diamondbacks record hasn't been there. But I want to make sure I double check the math. So 90-72. I think I'm incorrect. I think the Philadelphia Phillies, if they win, they will start at home against Texas.
I want to see who has home field advantage between these two teams. I want to check the schedule for tiebreakers.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna have to do. I think I needed to correct myself. I believe it is Philadelphia if they do advance, but that depends on tomorrow. Otherwise, it will be Texas. As Chapman will be back out there, and we'll get a chance to watch a few more 100-mile-an-hour fastballs. So Adolis Garcia, the most RBI in a single postseason. I hope you're sitting down. 20 for Garcia, 20 for Seager in 2020 with the Dodgers, and David Freese for the St. Louis Cardinals when they won against Texas.
So I checked. In the long regular season series they faced off, the Rangers swept the Phillies in Dallas, or Arlington, I meant. Well, close to Dallas, but
So we believe that is going to give the advantage to Texas nonetheless on that side. I think that's what it could be. I wasn't sure if it was the Phillies or not, but thank you for that. We'll know everything for sure after Tuesday night. But what we know right now is Texas going to punch their ticket to the World Series. 101. This will be collected by Lowe. Nice catch with the glove, and Brantley is out.
so another nice fastball from Chapman, and another nice pickup from Nathaniel Lowe picking this up. And still, the only ones standing here are the Rangers fans. We are seeing more and more empty seats as we come further into this game.
Alec, I just want to say this openly. If you and I spent as much on a ticket to go to a postseason game, we're a fan of one of these teams, and one of them's getting blown out, wouldn't you stay? You spent a lot of money for the ticket.
He spent a lot of money for this ticket, and it's not over until it's over. So I'd rather stay for as much as it goes to see if such a miracle happens.
Not only that, but even if it doesn't, I want to see the other team celebrate. I mean, if you love sports, I think that's what you do. But I guess it's hard if you're a diehard fan of only one sport and one team. Then I can understand people leaving. But for guys like you and I that love all sports, if I had a ticket for something like this, I'm staying the whole way through.
Especially for what's going to come 3 years from now, the FIFA World Cup in North America.
That is going to be something. Again, I never really called the soccer game. We might have to do that at some point. I would need a lot of help. But yeah, that could be a lot of fun too. I think that's going to mix in between North America, Canada, and maybe another neutral site, if I'm remembering correctly.
United States, Canada, and Mexico.
102. Tucker gets a base hit on the most unconventional way possible. He splits the lumber in half, but he does reach base.
Yeah, on the infield, so perhaps something for Kyle Tucker heading into next year. Remember, he signed that extension, and perhaps something for the Astros to build off of into next regular season.
Yeah, there really isn't any other way I could put it there either, Alec, on this side. It's how many runs, maybe a couple more for the Astros tops. That's about all I'm seeing right now. Again, you can score on this bullpen. Chas McCormick is up at the dish with Kyle Tucker at first. And 101 is dotted.
And a few times we covered the Seattle Mariners in the regular season. When I watched Andres Munoz play, he sometimes has reminded me of Aroldis Chapman for that blazing fastball triple digits.
Yeah, it's all about being able to locate it when Munoz and Chapman are on. Man, they are unhittable. I mean, I understand most of these players, as good as they are, they can time a bullet out of a gun. That's the expression that's always been used. Because you're throwing 100 miles an hour, that's what it is. But when you start mixing up those sliders, curveballs on top of that velocity, I don't care who you are. You're not hitting that. 0-2 as McCormick waits on another one from Chapman. Cuban Missile delivers 104 right at the leg of McCormick.
Oh, that's just big.
He really let that one go. I'm sorry to jump on you, Alec. He really let that one go. And McCormick is really struggling to get to his feet.
Oh, that really was a bullet. Ouch. But that really is going to hobble Chas McCormick and limit his ability to run. And that hit is back high. Ouch. Ooh.
That looked like a back sword of the hamstring. And when I saw 104 on the screen, I paused and held a breath because I saw that go near his right leg, hit the backside of his hamstring. We're going to get a look at it now on the ALCS side of it. Holy cow, did he get absolutely planked with a bullet? And I am glad that he's okay and even moving around. Hope he didn't break something.
Oh, that really could have broken a bone. And good that he's okay because that was serious heat.
I have never seen the radar gun. I know you mentioned with Chapman. I don't think I've seen 104 pitch this year. So that blew my mind. And now another 101. Chapman's adrenaline's throwing. He's got to find the strike zone, though. Pena's ahead 1-0.
Oh, good thing that McCormick is okay. Nobody should ever wish injury on another because
No.
that thing had some heat on it.
100. This one is dotted. So, man, Chapman's all over the radar gun right now. Make it 1-1.
He's been all over that. I mean, all over the place. And it comes to throwing those balls. But 104, oh, goodness.
Yeah, we won't forget that anytime soon. And then it comes back with a 92-mile-an-hour splitter, and he's way in front of it because he's expecting 104. So as we mentioned with Bruce Bochy, he's not messing around. As we thought he would, 7-8-9, he's going to go with his usual arms. Make sure this game is lock and key. Jose Leclerc, he might get some time in an 11-3 game. We'll see what Chapman does if he gives up anymore. There's 101. This one for Pena on the right field line. Can Garcia get there? Yes, he can. He makes the catch. I don't believe we're going to have any sacrifices. Yes, we will. Actually, it'll be Kyle Tucker to third, as I was just deep enough, and there'll be an opportunity here for the Astros to get something with 2 outs in the bottom 8th.
And because of the hit to McCormick, I think he made the same call on running back to first. You'd think that his running ability may be a little limited because of that hit to his back right thigh.
I can't imagine that thing's already swollen up as soon as it made contact.
I can't imagine. And the way the team doctors are going to look at that to determine the extent of that. Would it be just a bruise or something? Or if it's something more serious? Because, ouch!
Yeah, you can't say that enough. I mean, I'm surprised. I'm not even trying to be crazy, but I'm surprised he got up after that.
I'm surprised about that because, geez, that was some serious hit. That's a serious one.
So 7 straight LCS, as Alex said. Now you got Yonder Diaz to replace Martin Maldonado. It's not very fair to come back off the bench and have to expect to face 100, but that's the situation that Yonder Diaz finds himself in. It's runners at third and first. Tucker is at third. McCormick is at first. Diaz needs to come through here, try to get something, as Chapman delivers 100. It's the right field line, and backing up is Garcia, makes the catch. The Texas Rangers are 3 outs away from going to the World Series.
And I want to still keep an eye on Chad McCormick if he can still go at center field or if he's going to be pulled. But if I'm Dusty Baker, I got to pull him because with that bad leg, and that's clearly hobbled up because of that hit to the right side, I want to make the same call and pull him heading into the 9th inning because I don't know if McCormick is going to go any further than this. I want to say just get him out because the night is already over. Don't risk hurting him even more.
I agree with you because, again, after all the x-rays and stuff, when this game is done and have to answer all those questions, you just go ahead and put in Mauricio Dubon and you let the chips roll where they may for the rest of the game.
I mean, a safe call. Put in Dubon for the rest of this game at center field because he's the fresher body. You have McCormick who is banged up. He spent up nearly 3 hours of game time on this field, both on the bats and at the outfield.
Yeah, I remember not too long ago, Chaz McCormick missed almost before the start of the postseason, but he got smoked in the back with a pitch at 100, and then he gets hit in the right thigh with a 104-mile-an-hour fastball. So you got to pay the price to be able to go ahead and win games like these. I do have a Texas friend that just asked me, how about them Rangers? I know he's feeling good. I told him at the beginning of this that the Rangers were going to go to the World Series at the start of the playoffs, and he laughed me off the face of the earth. I wonder what he's thinking now.
I wonder because perhaps this is a change of a game plan in such ways for Dusty Baker if you want to prepare for the new season in 2024. Now, you won't have Brian Abreu for the first 2 games, but you have to ask yourselves. Now, Brian Abreu may be one concern, The other concern I have with the Astros, Alex Bregman, if he's going to go somewhere else.
That, and then from what we talked about, I know you and I did mention it because I think we both believe that Dusty Baker should only be gone if he wants to be on that side. But again, there are some people that said that they want him out. I look at this game and I counterpoint with you, and we both agreed that, well, what is Dusty Baker going to do in this type of game when you have Christian Javier go a third of an inning and get absolutely shelled? So that's just the way that it goes sometimes. But yeah, Houston's going to have a lot to think about. But at the same time, for me, my friend, I don't think you make too many adjustments here because going back into next season, as painful as it's going to be for Houston, you still got a really good team coming to the dish next year.
It's no stack, top to bottom. Altuve, Peña, you still have Alvarez, you still have Abreu, you still have all those guys. You still have a bunch of the same core around. Even though Bregman, he may or may not stay.
So Ryan Stanek, I guess we'll do the honors here for the final 3 outs for the Rangers at the bat rack. Again, he's not been sharp as far as he's been here. 3 innings, 3 runs, 3 hits. And we'll see if he can get some sort of mop-up duty. I don't think I'd ever want to be in this situation now. Like, even if I was a pro, I don't want to be in the 9th inning of a game that's 11-3 and have to do mop-up duty. That's just not fun.
Not at all. It definitely stinks.
So they showed Texas as far as their last few seasons and the games that they've won, and it's been pretty brutal there, but only the last few years because of the pitching side. And now that they have some pitching, at least it's been done enough, their offenses continue to carry as it's always done throughout the history of the Rangers. And look, Rangers love to spend money. They'll always spend money on any of their problems and hope to fix it. Well, it worked out big time with Semien and Seager this year. And then when you get call-ups there for Josh Jung and Evan Carter, I mean, they just continue to develop hitters, and then you get Bruce Bochy. You're going to have DeGrom and Scherzer next year. You got Jordan Montgomery who needs to get signed. I don't think there's going to be any question for me, Alec, that Chris Young, as soon as this season's done for the Rangers, he's going to get on the phone with Jordan Montgomery, and he's going to stay a Ranger.
Yeah, there's no question about it. He's going to do everything he can to keep Montgomery heading into next season. And how about this? The Vikings are going to beat the Niners.
So I'm 1-11 this week.
So they finally got the win. I thought this would be down to the wire, but even though the Vikings missed the field goal, they get the game-sealing interception on Brock Purdy to seal this win.
I only took the Vikings not only for the 6.5 points too, but because of all the injuries that you talk about with Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey. I said I think they'll finally get it done, and this would be one of those games now that the Minnesota Vikings, their out-of-season schedule from the NFC North is finally over. The San Francisco 49ers was the last difficult game that they have to play on that side. They won it, and now they can honestly, after the Lions lost and the Packers lost, they get a couple wins together. They still got to play the Lions a couple more times this year. They can make a run at this thing, but they got to get going.
They have to, and that's a must.
So Ryan Stanek got 1 out, and he's got to go against Leody Taveras, and that means Marcus Semien will get at least 1 more bat. And again, that's more postseason practice before he heads to the World Series. That's all he cares about at this point. I can't imagine if you're Marcus Semien. I know it was the Blue Jays before, but he spent all that time in Oakland, and he was putting up numbers for a long time, Alec. But now you really get the opportunity. You go from the Blue Jays, and now you're with Texas. You're in a great situation with a stacked lineup. That's got to feel good.
It has to be for the Minnesota Vikings for you to get back into contention. And even though you're in a division that has the Lions and the Packers and the Lions, they may be the front runners for the NFC North, but I don't want to count out the Vikings just yet, especially with Jordan Addison coming up huge. And once Justin Jefferson comes back, he'll do his usual Justin Jefferson things.
Yes, he will. And it's amazing they got that win without him as well. So 2 outs, top of the 9th, and Semien, again, as I said, will get 1 more opportunity to do this before he gets a chance to take his cuts in the World Series as Bruce Bochy looks on. Again, what I like for Bruce, there really is no change of expression here. It always looks like serious business. And this team, I know you said this a few games ago, but you nailed it. As Semien cruises one in the left field, he's going to get a single. But you nailed it with Bruce Bochy. I think Texas has absolutely embodied what their manager has brought, and he's changed the culture a little bit.
He's changed the culture all around from what has been around previously. And you turn around this team to go a complete 180 from where they were in the last few years to get them where they are and going to the World Series for the first time since Ron Washington was the manager. To build around Corey Seager, around Adolis Garcia, everyone around, a job well done for both Bruce Bochy and Chris Young.
Yes, it has. The only thing left on my mind now, you already know what it is Seager going to hit for the cycle?
You know, I would love to see that.
That's all that's left. I mean, this is a perfect capper at this point. If he can get himself a triple, that's all he's missing. Stanek will fire it outside at 97. At least if I'm Ryan Stanek here and I'm in the middle of mop-up duty, I'll say it as plain as day. I'm throwing strikes and I'm challenging hitters. There's no reason to walk anybody at this point.
There's no reason because it's already deep into this game and you're doing mop-up duty. Just get this closer to the end.
Seager hits it to the wall, but it's caught by Tucker. And Houston, unless they get a complete reversal with Altuve, Bregman, and Alvarez, it's the right side of the order. This one's done. They're done in their final 3 outs of the season.
It just feels like it with how they've been playing. And it's a very big shocker that they lead a clunker like this. But now you go up to the top of the order. If you don't get this win, perhaps you can get something out of these 3 guys for pride.
And again, I will say this because I'm looking at the box score and I'm honestly shocked because it doesn't feel that way other than Alvarez. But did you know, looking at this box score here, that Houston actually has 10 hits?
It just doesn't feel like
No.
that how the game has been going. Just 10 hits, but it's not enough. But my big concern with the Astros was their ability to get hits with runners on bases.
Right.
And if there was something that was going to be their downfall, it would be that.
And that's what it's ultimately all about. They've just not been able to do that in this series, especially at home. So when you get those 10 hits, yeah, it looks good in the box score, but when you leave them stranded on base, it doesn't really mean much. And Jose Leclerc will have the supreme opportunity to just finish off the rest of it. Again, as we mentioned, I mentioned this in the middle innings, and I'm glad that this was correct on the side of Spores, Chapman, and McClurk that Bruce Bochy was going to go the whole way through. He didn't deviate from the game plan. They're going to go with the horses that got you there. Back into the bullpen's been good. And no short order and congratulations, but I'll throw this out there to Jordan Montgomery. 2 1/3 innings, 3 hits, and 1 strikeout. We didn't even expect him to go that long, and yet he was excellent.
He's been excellent as a reliever. Who would have thought that he would have came out of the bullpen and came into the game? This is the third time this has happened. Normally, you would see him on the mound to begin a game. But nonetheless, I don't think this is going to deviate from the game plan of him being the potential game 1 starter in the World Series.
That's what I'm going with, my friend. Montgomery and Evoldi. Again, you have enough days, you get that set up here. And regardless of whether it's Philadelphia, but if you have Montgomery and Evoldi versus Wheeler and Nola, I think I'd salivate a little bit. But if it's Arizona and I'm Zach Gallen, I want a little bit of a bounce back here. I don't think he's been particularly sharp.
Yeah, especially with how he's been struck left and right by Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper throughout this NLCS series in games 1 and 5. But now that you're in game 7, I don't expect to see Gallen being utilized in the game 7 unless we have a situation similar to what we've had. But I don't expect that happening.
No, and I hope not. I hope that you and I can get something a little bit closer here. It's always fun, nonetheless, to do the broadcast with you, and I'm always thankful to have you with me here in between the color and the play-by-play. But Jose Leclerc, 3 out of 4, 9 1/3 innings, 4 runs, 9 strikeouts, 5 walks. That's his line. Jose Altuve, he's going to hit one right field line, and Altuve, if it stays fair, he did it again. My goodness, Jose Altuve.
Some people are probably heading into next season if this is the one. If you're going to take it on to next year, just not a lot of celebration on the Astros part because, unless there's a big comeback here in this 9th inning, but it's just not
No, it can't just be him and Alvarez, as we've said. But I mean, man, oh man, first pitch fastball up. Again, we called that earlier in this game. You throw that there, Altuve is going to get the bat head on it quickly and hit it right out. 27 postseason home runs now, only trailing Manny B. Manning at 29. So, I mean, that's as good as it gets. But Houston is behind by a mile. But Jose Altuve's had another great game, as he usually does. Bregman 2 for 4, as Leclerc will miss on the slider, make it 1-1.
The only ones here that are standing are the Rangers fans. I've seen a lot of orange shirts that are sitting down because this end result is very much of a surprise.
Yes, it is. Leclerc's missed with 2 straight sliders. Again, if Bruce Bochy saw a couple more runs go on the board, I don't even think he'd hesitate to get anybody else one. So Leclerc's got to lock in as it's 2-1. Fastball low, and Bregman's done a good job after the Altuve home run to continue to keep this alive. You got to make sure that you're down to it. It's only 3 outs, so it's all you got left to work with. And you know you have the top of the order that can do some damage, but it's about the rest of it. 3-1. That's a walk. That is a no from Leclerc there, but he did it. A home run and a walk.
Now, Alex Bregman being usually one of the bright spots on the Astros team, but it's not a lot for the Astros tonight, given where we're at. But Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, Jordan Alvarez, you think of these three, they've been keeping the Astros in this game, but not a lot for the rest.
No, and that's what we're wondering. You imagine Alvarez is going to come through again, but when you get to the rest of the order, is it going to be enough? Again, I'm assuming he will because he just does on that side. So Alvarez 3 for 3. Again, he's batting 476 in the postseason. That's absolutely ridiculous. As it's 0-1. Leclerc about to throw his 8th pitch. He hasn't recorded an out yet. 98-mile-an-hour fastball. And again, for these pitches that have been fouled back, they've all been outside the zone, but Alvarez got the bat hat on it and done damage. We'll see what he can do with an 0-2.
I know he has 6 straight games with a hit. It's very hard to strike him out, let alone 3 times, but that's what Jordan Montgomery did in game 1.
Popped up in on the hands, but Alvarez will stay with it. Still 0-2.
So with Jose Leclerc being now the full-time closer, you'd wonder if there's a decision between him and Will Smith, maybe they can alternate in the World Series.
Yeah, they're going to need to get another bullpen arm there with Will Smith. I agree with you there. Try to get him on the right side, but the leash will be short. 0-2. Big swing and a miss, and they finally get Alvarez out.
About time, because he's been spot on throughout this game. One of the few bright spots for the Astros in game 7, because he was 3 for 3 entering that at-bat, and Leclerc needed this one, because Alvarez has been looking like baby puppy. That's what David Ortiz coined him heading into tonight.
Yeah, I think the rest of the league is lucky that you can't clone players like Jordan Alvarez and place them in the lineup because he's just one of the best postseason hitters I've ever seen. I know Altuve has got the long game numbers, but if Alvarez keeps this up, we'll have a red carpet to Cooperstown in the Hall of Fame. So Abreu, 0-1 is Leclerc. We're trying to get it done in a big swing and a miss outside of the zone for Jose, make it 0-2.
I know Leclerc, he may be stepping up for this postseason, but who knows about the length of the leash.
Yeah, who knows about the World Series side of it? Philadelphia's got the bats, just like Texas does. Make no mistake about it, unless Arizona can change it. Abreu stays with it, and Leclerc's leash might get a little bit shorter, as you just called. Again, if I'm Bruce Bochy and a couple runs score here, I'm making the move because there's no way you're letting the game get away from you. Right now at 11-4, couple runs, you're safe. You keep yourself out of Grand Slam distance. Anything gets worse than that, you make the move regardless of whatever you got. So Michael Brantley is now up at the bat rack with runners on first and second and 1 out.
And for these 4 teams, like the Diamondbacks, they're looking to make it back to the World Series for the first time since it became the youngest MLB team to win it 4 years into their existence.
And they just show that on the screen now on that side, so thank you for that. Again, I forgot about the Diamondbacks in 2001. We were thinking about players like Randy Johnson that have been there and all different kinds of things like that. I always think about the days now of Paul Goldschmidt before he went to the St. Louis Cardinals, but there was a lot of playoff success with that. 97 will split the plate, make it 0-1.
Jordan Montgomery looking on from the dugout as he is all smiles.
As he should be. This Texas team is on the front foot here. Brantley will let a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. Watch it. It's 1-1. Again, Texas with a brimming with confidence as they've absolutely beat down Houston. I know it's a 7-game series, but the run scoring has just been astronomical. And a curveball slider combination will be 1-2. Fall back.
Oh, Michael Brantley, he saw that one. He liked that pitch, but just right off the tip of the bat.
So Friday will be the World Series side of it, TV coverage a little bit earlier, but we'll be back with you tomorrow for the NLCS Game 7 and then take a little bit of a break. At least I will. 1-2 as a sinker will miss. 2-2. Again, if Brantley does reach on that side, it will be Kyle Tucker. Double play ends this game, and Texas will go to the World Series. That's what's at stake right now. It'll be their second visit ever to the World Series. They've never won.
I say third visit because they made back-to-back years 2010 and 2011.
2010, that's correct. Thank you. 2010, 2011, because it's certainly been a while. I forget on certain things because I know it was the Cardinals for one, but I can't remember the other team that beat them.
The Giants.
The Giants, that's correct. So, yeah, it was the Giants because all of our teams on that side lost to the Giants. That's correct what my friend said. So, yeah, I keep forgetting about that because Bruce Bochy's always been a major player in all of that.
A big part of these dangerous teams, and you think of Nelson Cruz the first time, you think of it, and Adolis Garcia passing him, and for most RBIs in a single postseason.
Full count. Brantley pops this one out. This should be an easy catch. Who wants it? It'll be Seager. The Texas Rangers are 1 out away from going to the World Series. Should I say now for a third time and correct myself? That's why I got Alec in on the broadcast. So pick me up where I make my mistakes. Kyle Tucker could be the last at bat in this series. 4 for 25. No home runs and no RBI. If you asked me that going into the ALCS that would happen, I would have called you a liar.
I mean, with how he's put up, I would be dumbfounded that he put a stat line like this, but here we are.
Kyle Tucker swings on the fastball at 97. Will follow it back. Leclerc maybe 2 strikes away here from sending Texas to the World Series. Who would have known that the road team would win every game in this series? But that is what's in front of us. And Bruce Bochy, with ice water in his veins, he continues to get the job done regardless of the teams that he's coached. 0-1. 91 on a changeup. It's 1-1 now.
And who would have thought that the Rangers, the old Washington franchise, when they were usually known as the Senators, would do this after the current Washington franchise did the same thing 4 years back?
Yeah, sports and the cyclical nature, it can be crazy at times. Tucker, did he go? Heim says yes, and so does the third base umpire. The Houston Astros are down to their final strike in 2023. Kyle Tucker's at the dish. It's a 1-2 count, and Jose Leclerc trying to finish it off to send the Texas Rangers into the World Series. Not a lot of people picked them at the beginning of the year. 1-2 pitch gets the sign from Heim. Here's the swing. Down to second for Semien. Throws the first. And the Texas Rangers are going to the World Series.
Eureka!
It's an 11-4 final. They beat up on the Houston Astros. And now they'll wait tomorrow to see whether they play the Diamondbacks or the Phillies. They don't care about that right now. But they will see you next time on Friday as everybody's celebrating in the middle of the mound. What a sight.
An amazing sight. Bruce Bochy with his 5th pennant. First in the AL after having 4 in the NL. And the all-time great manager. He's going to for sure get a spot in Canton as a manager. I would love to see it between 2 managing legends, between Bochy and Dusty Baker. And for all to talk about Baker finally getting a World Series ring as a manager last year. He won as a player with the Dodgers in '81. Bochy and Baker,
Yeah, we did. Two great teams, two managing legends, two teams that really don't like each other in an epic 7 game series. As I've said, game 7 didn't have the thrills alongside of what like game 5 would have brought that Alec Lozano, and that was is the pinnacle of everything here. But still, when you brought that fireworks, it kind of made me feel in the back of my mind that Texas would respond in a big way. And boy, oh boy, again, we don't even have to tell you this right now because we'll tell you this before the TV side. Just go ahead and give Adolis Garcia the ALCS MVP.
And we can stay put for that to happen. They don't care about who they're going to face right now. But no matter who is going to be the opponent, it's going to start in Arlington. That's where game 1 is going to be at because if it is the Phillies, the Rangers have the tiebreaker based on head-to-head. If it's the Diamondbacks, clear advantage to the Rangers because of record.
Yes. So thank you for that. We got all of our clarifications on that Friday side. I'm going to go ahead and pull up this other box and I'll send to some of the other days because I know they have this up there on the ESPN side. So let's just fast forward it a little bit to Friday. That'll be on the 27th. So again, we know the Rangers will be there and they'll be at home. Again, the coverage will start at 7 o'clock. We imagine that there's going to be about a maybe 8:05 start time on that end. And all that's left to figure out is whether it is the Phillies or the Diamondbacks. That game's going to be played tomorrow. Another game 7 back to back on the eve of the NBA opening night and a loaded NHL schedule. So I know you and I will have a lot to do. I'll carry the brunt of the play-by-play because I don't want to keep you hoarse with all the voice lesson stuff. I know they're interviewing Corey Seager right now, and again, he was a triple away from the cycle. He was locked in this game. Hell, everybody's been locked in for the Texas Rangers, Alec. I mean, this has been a machine, and they've been good all year. They've been able to carry runs, but they finally got the pitching that they needed. They've shut down teams enough, and if they can continue to do this, I don't care who they play on the NL side. I could pick them to win the World Series, not just because there's 3 teams left, but their offense is that good. If their pitching holds up, why shouldn't they be the favorite?
For all the talk about the state of the postseason is about pitching. If the Rangers can keep up this offense, that statement may be obsolete because their pitching is still quality. And they may not have the strongest of bullpens, but with how their offense has been firing on all cylinders, they don't need their bullpen to be their strongest by how it is going. Even though Jose Leclerc had runners on first and second, because of that, he was able to get them out of that situation with the final out. And a big shout out to Bruce Bochy, big shout out to Adolis Garcia, to Corey Seager, everyone on that Rangers team.
Yeah, as you said, you could take anybody you want and everybody's going to get their flowers because they've all contributed. There was not a weak spot in this lineup. And it is amazing to me going into the postseason. I know Evan Carter got his brief call-up, but for Josh Jung to hit a couple of tanks, for Evan Carter to look as good as he did, and I asked you this question in the opening day when we covered in the playoff side of it between the Rangers and the Rays, how many teams could go out there and insert somebody like Jung or Carter and have success? And we both said not many. Well, the Texas Rangers just continue to find more players to contribute to this lineup that just seems to be never ending.
It's never ending. A never ending line of success of Evan Carter, who's had a 12-game postseason on-base streak, the longest by someone who's 21 or younger. And it's a great sight to see for someone who got his first MLB look in September. I mean, a very late call-up this season. And he has been contributing on all cylinders. He's growing a little playoff mustache on him and playoff beard.
Yeah, he's trying to grow a little bit of that. I know some of the hockey players that are young can't grow at all, but keep it growing, young man. You are absolutely dominating. This team is going to the World Series. The whole team's look good. I don't think any of the time off from this Monday side to Friday is going to do anything to cool off this offense. They're just rolling too well.
They've been on fire, left and right. And we can just imagine about Garcia and his run. 4 straight games of home runs. Just give him the ALCS MVP.
Yeah, if it's anybody else, I'll write a letter to Fox Sports demanding a recount.
For all the jokes about that, I don't want to go there because of all the political spectrum. I want to keep things apolitical as possible. But the Rangers, they are a machine. The machine that just keeps on rolling. No matter who you send out onto the plate, no matter who you send out onto the mound, they're just going to keep getting at you. Left, right, it doesn't matter.
You always keep a way to color me surprised, my friend. That was a good one there. Are they not going to show this here? I'm waiting to see the trophy. That's why we were trying to stay here on this broadcast. This game's been long over, but I at least want to see the MVP trophy on that side of it. But I don't think they are.
I think they're going to show some promotions for their later shows, including college football between Oklahoma and Kansas and the Big 12. I know it's a little dusty over in the central United States between Oklahoma and Kansas, but I visited Kansas City two times before, and one of my go-to places to visit the University of Kansas, which is to the west of Kansas City. Now, it may take a while for them to have the presentation of the ALCS trophy, and I would love to see them hoist it right up into this Houston sky. And even though I visited the city of Houston before, I've only been inside Toyota Center once. I've never been inside Minute Maid Park. Just once for a game on Christmas Day, the Rockets and the Thunder. I haven't been to an Astros game.
That's cool. You got an NBA game on Christmas Day?
Yeah. The Rockets won that game, and I remember vividly James Harden put up 41 points that game. Chris Paul was hurt as well.
Yeah, when you got a chance to watch some of those games, I know some people are hit and miss on James Harden, but when you get a chance to watch him in a Houston uniform, and what was it? Didn't he have like a 70-point triple double as well? He absolutely put up numbers when he was a member of the Rockets.
His video game numbers, left and right. And all talk aside about his situation right now, he was a fun player to watch in Houston.
He was. Again, we'll see what he'll do right now with the Philadelphia 76ers as the NBA season is going to get set to kick off. I was just waiting a little bit to see if they'd have any trophies, but if they're going to make us wait another 15 minutes, I might sign off here, but I'm trying to hold together as long as we can before we get the coverage because I know it'll be late and then we have the Game 7 side tomorrow. But when we were speaking about the NBA, I know that Alec did mention this. We got 2 games to open the season, both on the TNT side. Should be good ones. You got the Lakers Nuggets rematch of the NBA Finals, and then you do have the Suns and the Warriors. I know we didn't talk about the Suns, and I know some people will disagree with me on this, but when you have the trifecta of Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker, yeah, you can score a lot of offense, but I was surprised. I thought the Suns were very, very quick to move on from DeAndre Ayton. I think they're going to miss him.
And not to mention that not only you move on from DeAndre Ayton, your replacement is Yusuf Nurkic. My concern with Nurkic is the injuries that he suffered during his time in Portland, especially late into his tenure. But to move on from Ayton that quick, I feel like you're jumping a bit of the gun there, especially since you lost Jock Landale to Houston in the offseason.
And then players, I know it's a couple of years ago, but Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, moving on from 8. I mean, these are high-quality players. And I know that Kevin Durant and Booker and Beal can be absolute superstars, especially Durant, even with the advanced age. But still, it kind of seems like you're closing your window.
It feels like you are, especially when you get to the finals in 2021, for the first time in what seems like ages, and since the Steve Nash era. You have Devin Booker, Chris Paul back then, and then Booker, he's the only one left from that NBA Finals team for the Suns.
So we're waiting now. In the mix of it, we'll go ahead and throw the requests in a little bit of a post game. We're just waiting for the trophy celebrations and all that, but I'll let you go ahead and get some thoughts in there, Jonathan, if you want to at the end of it, because I know we had a lot to say about the Houston Astros, but I just want to get the trophy thing in there from Kevin Burkhardt, and I want to see the ALCS MVP. So all the Texas fans be able to move a little bit down in those seats and able to celebrate it here. But we're just really waiting for Adolis Garcia to get his flowers because I really can't remember a player like that doing so much damage. I mean, he was terrific in this series.
Left and right, it feels like he's shooting fireworks everywhere. It doesn't matter where. I mean, 4 straight games of home runs, that is no joke. Got to give him the MVP.
Yeah, and as I said, I think those boos, that did not go well on that side.
Hey, guys,
Go
we
ahead.
appreciate no covering this. We're sorry for the outcome, I guess Dusty's out to go for probably, I don't know. I was there tonight. We got some major changes.
What changes would you go with, honestly, before I end up closing everything out? So Dusty Baker aside, but some of the players like Altuve and Alvarez, you're keeping all that around, but what would you change?
Some bullpen. Get somebody from our pen. We're gonna keep Altuve and Bregman and Jordan, Tucker, and
Just
the rest of the lineup will stay.
right.
We're gonna try to get a bat. I've already texted. I just texted Dana Brown and was crying and telling him, "Hey, let's go and get these players while they're, because the rest of the world is laughing at Houston, Texas right now."
Well, I'll tell you this, from what Alec and I saw, again, we had Chris Jung being interviewed, but I think it's pretty clear to us on that side. You could use a couple starters here for the Houston Astros. So I think that's where I would lean. I know we're going to probably end this here soon once you see the Adolis Garcia part of it. But, yeah, that's where I would lean on that end. And then when you go into next year, I know there's changes to be made, but I want to just say this clear as I can. Do not act like the sky is falling, because if you make anything too drastic, this Houston team's going to be back next year, no doubt about it.
It's like I had texted a lot of our Astros fans and said, we're not going to act as if the sky is falling. I know we lost tonight, but tomorrow we'll still be Astros fans.
Yep.
And we got to take. I'm not crying. Congrats to the Texas Rangers. They've never won a real series, man.
Right.
John, you said you're going to host the Phillies tomorrow, right?
Yeah, Alec and I will be here for that. I'm going to carry the brunt of it, but Alec will back me up on that end, and we'll see what happens with them.
I'll be in there listening to y'all. Just to support the other teams, it just sucks to lose tonight, but I guess we'll, like you said, the next 2 years, they better watch out for us.
I don't disagree with you. I don't think they're going anywhere. And I don't know, Alec, if I want to call Bruce Bochy Darth Vader, but he certainly seems to be getting it done as Adolis Garcia, your ALCS MVP.
As it should be. It's the only right thing for it to go. Adolis Garcia to win ALCS MVP. I looked up his stats.
Yeah.
Frankly, it's the first time since the Cubs Indians World Series that we will not have either one of the Astros or the Dodgers in the World Series.
That certainly makes me think of a basketball-ism from several years ago. When I think about the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors, sometimes those runs end and we get some new blood, don't you think?
Yeah, we get some new blood, and much needed new blood, especially looking back 2020 with the LA Lakers and the Miami Heat. You think back to such series like, say, 2011, the Mavericks and the Heat, or say those 3 straight with the Lakers, or how about 2007, where you have the Golden State Warriors upsetting the Dallas Mavericks, the top seed, and then you see the end result with the Spurs beating the Cavs on that 06 between the Mavs and the Heat. They get a rematch of that in 11. And you have the Spurs and all those dynastic years. A lot of basketball isms left and right. You have the Nuggets and Heat last year. The Warriors and Celtics the year before. Suns and Bucks. Who saw that coming? But 2 small market teams up against each other. This feels like basketball isms all over again. And the Dallas team, unique to the World Series to me.
Yeah, it is. Again, from what you just spoke about, that's what I was bringing in. Sometimes you have the ebb and flow of certain teams you see all the time, and then you kind of get that the way in sports. It's kind of cyclical. You'll see a lot of that, it moves on, and then you'll get that back again. So to the points that everybody made, and Jonathan in there as well, Houston's going to be back. Again, this was a bitter pill to swallow, especially losing 4 games at home. But again, there will be some changes, but the majority of this squad will be here again, and they're going to be doing some damage. I'm going to get set to sign off here, my friend. It's been a lot of fun. I know it's been a couple blowouts, so we hope that tomorrow's game will be a little bit closer. But I'll join you tomorrow, and then we'll see what happens for Friday and Saturday. I'm not going to be able to cover every game in the World Series, but I also don't want to leave you stranded if you got other things to do. But Alec, I appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you, John.
All right, we'll talk soon, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you.